Welcome back to Kind of Funny's MCU in Review. That's right. We are ranking, recapping, and reviewing every movie and TV show in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by Greg Miller.
How you doing?
Fantastic. Kevin Coelho.
I got too much spice on my lips. They're hot.
What'd you eat?
Yeah.
A little ramen.
Oh.
You ordered or
No. It's the little.
You ever
black
get a
bags.
mango and put some cayenne pepper on it?
No, I've never done that.
We don't talk about mangoes on this show anymore. Not after the incident. Of course, we have Andy Cortez.
Hello, everybody. It's a good time, man. Good theater date yesterday. Delayed a little bit, but it all came up Millhouse.
Andy, were
Exactly.
you scared that they were gonna kick us out?
Real scared.
What
Oh,
happened?
I
It got
was so
delayed?
scared.
Yeah, our experience, Greg Miller, got delayed for Black Widow once more by about 40 minutes. But it all worked out in the end. Isn't that right, producer/seducer Nick Scarpino?
I had enough time to eat my popcorn and then think, should I get another popcorn?
Yeah,
Is that something that I should do? Tim went to go get a hot dog about 15 minutes in. That gave me anxiety because I was like, they're going to start this movie without him. But then I was like, maybe I should wait 5 minutes and text him, give me a hot dog too. But then he came back with no hot dog. And I was like, Tim, what happened to your hot dog?
What's the point of even getting
Hot dog machine's broken too.
No, tell him what happened, Tim.
I ate the hot dog on the walk back.
Like a savage.
Hell
Like a
yeah.
fucking
We've all done that.
savage.
This is Kind of Funny's in Review, where each and every week we rank and review two different movie franchises. Right now, we're back where it all began with the MCU. We're also doing Space Jam in Review. We're reviewing Space Jam 1 and Space Jam A New Legacy. That's coming up next week. Both of those will be in 1 week, so Tuesday and Friday. Get hyped about that. Very cool stuff. And then after that, we're returning to this show, MCU in Review, with Loki in Review, ranking that alongside all the movies and shows. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, you can get this show on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want it as a podcast, search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free and watch live as we record it, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producer Molecule did. We thank you so very, very much. But enough of all that. Today, we are talking about Black Widow with a runtime of 2 hours and 14 minutes. Originally scheduled for release May 1st, 2020, it had 3 delays until it premiered on July 9th, 2021 in theaters and on Disney Plus Premier Access, making it the 24th film in the MCU, the first film of Phase 4. The director said that the film had been completed for the whole year. They haven't changed it. No alterations were made in the entire year, despite the subsequent release delays, including the post-credit scene featuring Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who, if everything went as planned, would have shown up again in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but we saw that kind of reversed a little bit. It was directed by Kate Shortland, an Australian screenwriter, film director, and television writer, and it had music by Lauren Balfe, who is best known to people like Andy as the person that composed the score to Mission Impossible Fallout. You gotta appreciate that.
Can we do this? You got that on vinyl, Andy? You dork.
Wait, what'd you say?
No.
What the fuck did you tell me?
Damn, Andy's
Fucking
coming.
get him,
Andy got
Andy,
sleep
get
last
him,
night.
dude. He's trying to be all
Get him,
wild.
Andy.
Yeah, he's doing the real
Don't
tough
let
guy
him.
thing of like, I didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear the insult. You know what I mean?
I didn't hear it.
Budget of $200 million and a box office that obviously is ongoing because we are recording this the day it came out, but it is projected to cross 100 million by the end of the weekend. The film had the most ticket pre-sales in 2021 and has surpassed other MCU films like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming, which I find kind of surprising because that was one of the biggest box office hitters of all time. So interesting stuff there. And this movie does easily pass the Bechdel test. There is a ton of women speaking to each other, so that's pretty damn rad. Andy Cortez, I want to start with you. What did you think of Black Widow?
Hit me up, Daddy-O Tim. I thought the movie was good. I thought the movie was good. There are a lot of cool moments. I think the characters far and away carried a lot of this movie. I thought David Harbour was fantastic. Florence Pugh was phenomenal. I enjoy this new dude who's doing all the tech stuff for ScarJo. Whenever he was on screen, he had some funny lines. Yeah, it was cool. Again, I think the characters kind of carried this. Homeboy who plays one of the guys in The Departed, who's the main bad guy in here.
Ray Winston.
Kind of neat, but I was telling Joey that near the end, I felt like a lot of the kind of the pheromone stuff and all that. It got a little Harry Potter for me, where like whenever there's an issue, there's always a spell to like counteract what you're trying to do, and like, you know, if you smell me, we'll sever the nerve. Like all that shit was just kind of weird, and I'm surprised by you telling me that there were no reshoots or there were no alterations to the film, because this felt like if COVID hit a movie, it was this one. And it felt kind of just off in a lot of spots. But I thought the action was a lot of fun. Near the end, I could have used 10 times more of flying through midair and fighting on platforms that are falling from the sky. I really thought that sequence was just dope as hell, and it felt energetic, and my heart was pumping. And I feel like ending this movie was probably the most difficult thing to do. Like, how do we end this shit? You know, we had like 2 different sequences. Overall, I thought it was good, not great. And yeah, that's how I feel about this film. Tim, thank you for asking me.
You're welcome, Andy. Greg Miller, what about you?
I thought this movie was great. Black Widow, more like Black Window, because this was a win for me and the MCU. I've been up since 4:45 in the morning, everybody. It's been a long week. So I'll tell you right now, kids, go ahead and press record on your VCR. This is going to be a good one. Yeah. Now, here's what I'll say. This movie, nonstop thrill ride, all right? It's intermixed with the fun action that I liked a lot. A lot of that Jason Bourne kind of fighting, right? When we get to the introduction of, Black Widow fighting up against, what's her sister's name? I already forgot it.
Yelena.
Thank you. When they're brawling around the safe house there, that was a great time in Budapest.
But also like kind of pointless, because it's like, it's cool, but then they're like, hey, you're my sister.
It's like if you and me had got torn apart right now, we weren't together again for 21 years. Like, we'd have to fall back to what we know, and you'd come in and I'd start sending you Instagram messages, and if you responded funnily, then we would know we're back on it, and it's okay. Make sure you're not there. You're an Avenger at this point.
Practically the same thing.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it hangs on the characters for sure, but I thought I loved the characters. Like, there's not a performance in here where I was like, ugh, I don't like this character. I don't want more of this character. I thought the family dynamic between all 4 of them was awesome. I loved getting the setup of it in Ohio in '95, and then when we get back to it, and even though this is a movie that we saw so many trailers for over many years that I felt like, oh yeah, I kind of know how this movie's going to go. And I did, right? Even getting there and still getting that scene of them reunited at Rachel Weisz's table, right? And having them be there and don't slouch, stand up, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, David Harbour continuing to try to, open his heart up to Black Widow throughout the thing and be a better person. Like, I just fucking had a great time. I loved this movie.
McWillow.
I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the humor hit constantly. The start of it was very dark, and overall, there's clearly a dark overtone that is like very powerful. And I thought the action was phenomenal. I mean, it was a spectacle that was fun to watch the entire time. So yeah, 2 thumbs up right here, man.
Kevin, also I sent you the redone ranking, so save over the old one, please. Thank you.
What?
Nick Scarpino.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought that the setup for it, and the characters were great all the way up until the 3rd act, and then it just kind of started falling a little flat for me right when we started getting to the bigger action set pieces. Largely because I think they underutilized the bad guys. They underutilized Taskmaster just thoroughly, and then it's really hard to have a floating platform falling out of the sky and not compare it to the scene from the Avengers, which was one of the most dynamic scenes in the series so far, and also the scenes from Winter Soldier, which is one of everyone's favorite films, where he's jumping from platform to platform with Falcon having his back. And so those I felt sort of like I don't want to say dropped the ball on them, but they were underwhelming. Pretty much from the third act on, I was like, I want a little bit more out of this. I think that the movie is largely hanging on the strengths of Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, who were phenomenal in it. And I could have done with another maybe 15 minutes of them fighting alongside with each other. And to I think it was Andy's point of, or whoever said flying through the sky stuff should be more. I'm like, I want more of that. When the platform was done, I'm like, I want another. I thought that was going to be like the start of it, and then we were going to have to chase Winston down, but he just sort of like explodes in fire, and they really want you to know he died because they kind of cut to the inside. And you see his sunglasses falling off.
Hey man, we didn't get, this is what ruined Scarlet Widow's, Black Widow's life here, right? And the fact that she didn't actually confirm the kill, so we get to confirm the kill for her, and almost risked her sister, right?
I totally get that. I feel like confirming the kill. Yeah, I feel like confirming the kill needed to be her putting a bullet right in his fucking head, and then looking down and walking over his body. And we never really got that moment. Instead, we got a random moment where she's like, "I'm about to jump off of this perfectly bad platform that's falling apart," and thankfully there just happens to be a parachute right here. I'll just scoop that bad boy up as I jump off and save my sister. So I think a lot of the action toward the end of it was a little bit. I think it needed one more draft on that. And they did Taskmaster wrong, man. They just did her bad.
Because Taskmaster's a woman. I didn't see you doing this, Nick.
No, because it was an awesome character that just had a sort of like they should have done way more with. Like,
see, I mean, I was joking about the woman thing, obviously. I like the take here because it caught me by surprise. I was like, who is this going to be? And then when it was the daughter, I was like, oh, you know what? I should have seen that coming, but I didn't see it coming. I didn't pay enough. I wasn't thinking hard enough on it. And again, I don't think Taskmaster, no offense, I don't think Taskmaster is that cool of a villain. It's why he's always like, this Marvel guy that you beat up first, right? Because I memorize everybody's moves. That's a weird thing. That's a weird thing to do and then fight or whatever. That's not here. It made for cool silent battles and little tech that were on top of it, and then whatever at the end.
Me and Kevin been memorizing your moves for fucking years, bro. We're just
how would I open my podcast right now, Nick?
What's up, everybody?
Andy Cortez.
Yeah, just to kind of go over more of that sequence towards the end, wanting more of that midair sort of combat, because I wish that wasn't spoiled in the trailers, because I feel like we got kind of a decent chunk of it in the trailers, and that could have been so cool. Because when you see that in the trailers, you just assume that sequence is going to be a bit longer. But how long can the sky really be? Obviously, way shorter than the Fast and Furious runway. But yeah, like the moment the Taskmaster.
How long can the sky really be?
Like,
Andy Cortez
sticks their blade into the fucking platform and like, oh my god, I wanted way more of that, and it was so cool. And I think the biggest disappointment with this movie that I had, again, I still think it's like a good, fun movie, entertaining, but I wanted it to be as creative in what it was doing, like the Mission Impossible movies are creative and clever with using, not just the face mask reveals or whatever, but when you get to the whole moment, or like, oh shit, you're actually not the mom, you are Scarlett Johansson. Like that moment just was not cool to me. Like it probably should have been, and I don't really know why. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I wanted a bit more cleverness with the plot and kind of like getting people thrown off guard and here and there. So I think leading up to it, I should not have read any reviews, because I read a lot of comparisons to Mission Impossible and I was kind of let down.
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of my take with Taskmaster. Also, it was like I wanted more of that kind of action, and then I also just wanted more of a resolution where I thought Taskmaster, like at the end of the day, I'm like, why would she not kill the dad? Like this, I don't know. I thought she should have been a part of, like, they needed to team up and along with the other widows and go after him. And we never really got a scene with the widows either, where they got to be, the protagonists for a hot second. We just kind of saw them come in and be like, what do we do now? And Scarlett Johansson's like, go live your life. You can be your own person now. I'd have been like, or just top of my head, help us kill this fucking guy that enslaved you for the last like 20 years of your life.
He was dead.
And then you can go to the beach.
He was dead.
No, it happens in the red room.
No.
Remember? The thing blows up and she's like, what should we do now? And Scarlett's like, go live your life. You're in charge of your own destiny. And then they go away. And then they come back in the helicopter later. And I'm like, where did they go? Why didn't they help out?
Wait, no. I'm pretty sure you have them mixed up. Because doesn't Yelena go into the red room to give them all the like formula
Yeah, no, he's talking about when they're at Dragov's desk and they're fighting in his, not the actual red room. They're in a red room, but it is before.
Got it. Okay, yeah,
Nick is
his
correct.
Office.
It blows up, and
the
then
holder of the plot. Nick is correct.
Yeah, you have all these.
Here's
You
the
have
thing.
all these.
Are we gonna get a show that's Black Widows, and that is just like random stories of how they're like living in the world with?
Sure hope not, because this movie did not make them interesting to me at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think it's more interesting with them in the wind. Like I don't. I mean, I'm not like, man, sign me up for Taskmaster and the Black Widows. You know what I mean? I'm not like, that's the show I need right now from Disney Plus. But I can see something interesting down the line with one of them.
Tim, what did you think of this movie?
I'm in line with all of you guys. I am surprised by how good this movie was. I definitely thought that, especially having seen trailers for years and kind of just being like, all right, we know what this is going to be, on top of all of the other issues with it, of timeline wise, and just the stakes being kind of lowered because we know Black Widow dies and all that stuff. I was still having a really good time. And I do agree with Nick that the movie starts off at its strongest and it kind of only goes down from there. But I don't think that it never crosses over into a bad place. There's nothing about this movie that I thought was bad. I thought everything was at least good. And I was entertained the entire way through. I do think there was a couple bad calls made with the direction of the movie, because I feel throughout the entire thing, it's not Mission Impossible enough, and it's also not Fast and Furious enough, but they commit to both of those things sometimes at the exact same time. And an example of what I'm saying is they treat her like she's Dom from Fast and Furious, where it's like she's in multiple car travesties. Like, these aren't even car crashes. Like, it is very bad. She's falling through, like, down hundreds of feet or whatever, and it's like she's just a human. And it's like
they do the thing, where the car breaks her fall, right? I think there was one where she got knocked off the highway onto another car. And
we should try this. I'm telling you right now, guys. Let's go out and just start jumping on each other's cars and just see. You know what, hurts.
Kevin, do me a favor. Nick, we need your car, and Kevin, come on, let's go over the nearest highway over back.
That backfired. That backfired on me immediately.
Tim, when she fell out the window and hit like 9 different railings and then landed on her feet,
she landed on her feet.
That was crazy.
Their answer to it is like, oh, she took her shirt off and has some bruises. And it's just like, I just feel that lessens the entire movie, because we watch Mission Impossible and it's a lot more grounded than a Fast and Furious movie. And it's like, you believe in what's happening, and the action is less crazy. They're not jumping from building to building in cars. It is insanely crazy for normal people, but it's like they set the scale of insanity of action correctly. Whereas with this, it's just kind of consistently in the wrong place, I think. And it's just like, it just lessens the fun that this movie could have had. And again, I still think that it really kind of nailed what it was going for, because it had an MCU wrapper, and the MCU wrapper really kind of gives it its own identity, where this movie isn't Mission Impossible and it isn't Fast and Furious. It is an episodic movie in this universe. And I think it works really well with that. I think that there's a lot of comparisons you can make to something like Solo, where it's like, okay, do we really need to go back and answer and reference every single thing ever said about Black Widow? You know, Loki talking about, what about Dreykov's daughter in Avengers? It's like, of course, Dreykov's daughter is a big plot of this. Budapest, the vest, all of this stuff. It's like, do we really need this? And my answer is, yeah. The MCU is different than Star Wars. You know, it is this thing where the interconnectedness is what makes it special. And I like that stuff. And I think that it does enhance from franchise to franchise within this ultimate franchise of the MCU. So connecting the Avengers movies to the Captain America movies to the Black Widow movies, like, I enjoy that stuff. But I still think that with this case, this movie had to have come out after Civil War. It's so weird and awkward to be watching it now. And the vest is just like, it is a Solo moment in a bad way.
It's so funny.
It's just like, so many people wouldn't even catch that. I did. Yeah. I immediately look over G. I'm like, yo, that's the vest from Infinity War. She's going to get it. And when you see her with the blonde hair and you see her with the hair dye, it's like, okay, they're setting it up. But this would have been so much more impactful then. So it's just kind of like a silly time for this movie to come out, specifically because, and again, this isn't a criticism. It's just an observation. The most whatever part of this movie is Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. Like, she's just kind of there in this movie. This is Florence Pugh's movie. This is the family's movie, and I enjoyed the hell out of them. And when you look at it as, okay, she kind of is the next Black Widow, and that's why the title of this is Black Widow, I'm all in for it. But I think for this being ScarJo's send-off as Black Widow, especially after her not getting a real moment in Endgame like Tony got and Steve got and all of that, it's kind of like, wow, you gave her first whole movie, and like, her funeral scene gets cut off by Vanessa coming out, or whatever her name is. I always forget.
Just call her Elaine.
Valentina
Elaine,
coming out.
Elaine.
Yeah, very reminiscent of Breaking Bad's El Camino, the Netflix movie. It's like this is supposed to be the send off. Like we didn't need it. It's good, but like I was fine leaving ScarJo back there. Like after that heart wrenching scene in Endgame, I don't know if I quite needed this movie, but still entertaining. I'll take it.
It's too bad this movie didn't come out like phase 3, like midway through phase 3, because I feel like it would have hit a lot harder that way. Still was fun though.
I don't know. I think an argument could be made for it to be they like we're all coming out of COVID and this is one of the first actual theatrical movies we get to watch. I think everyone's going to give it a little bit more space to breathe than they would if it was kind of hot off the heels of the last few Marvel movies. But I don't know.
I mean, with that, like this was a fucking movie. Like I am like it's we just saw Fast 9 in theaters like last week, it feels like, and this felt like a step up from that as a movie experience, despite the delays and all that shit. Like I was blown away by the just
score.
Technical prowess of
my God.
the sound and just the way it being on a big screen, all that. I was just like, fuck yeah, I'm so happy movies are back. And Black Widow achieved that. Like it really kind of did something special.
It's funny because we talk about like, one of our criticisms, or at least my criticisms of a lot of the MCU TV shows is that like, hey, I like the characters, but the action set pieces fall flat. And my expectation was sort of reset with that. When I walked into this, I was like, okay, it's going to be like, there's no disrespect to Loki. They don't have the budget that this movie has. But when they're running around and stuff's falling on them, it doesn't look that great. Then we get to the first action, like we just even that part on the bridge with her versus Taskmaster, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot. Like this is awesome, and you're legitimately scared for her because the action's so well choreographed, and that scene is so well done and so well lit, and it's like, God, it's awesome.
I did wish that scene didn't start with the absurd like rocket hitting her car flipping a billion times, and her just being like, oh god, where it's like.
There was more of that than that. She was fucked up. She crawled out of the car.
Yeah, but
luckily I ain't better when I'm pissed off.
How did that car was that an armored car? Were we supposed to think like, oh, she's in an armored vehicle? Because like that was a massive explosion. And like I think that's
and also I was gonna say Taskmaster like could have blown that car like somehow. Maybe it would have gone over the bridge or like fucking. He could have destroyed the things that he was trying to get. Like, just a little.
He knows Taskmaster.
Taskmaster, he knows exactly what he's doing or what she's aiming at. She knows exactly what's going to happen. The fact that it didn't proves Taskmaster was right. So I don't want to sit here and have you talking shit about Taskmaster right now, saying like, "Oh, this could have happened." It didn't, though. Did it? It didn't, though. Did it?
True.
Watch your mouth when you talk to me like that.
No, Kevin, it's funny. I understand what you're saying. You're having a big problem with the explosion that rocked the car and flipped it over and didn't kill her or anything. Did you have a problem when the ghost Skull Man had her sacrifice her life for the stone that then gave Thanos, this alien from a different world, all this power?
That's alien like mythic shit. I'm not
we can't put rules.
I know explosions.
It checks out, everybody.
That's real shit, you know what I mean? An explosion is something that happens.
Tim, when you mentioned that car atrocity, which is like the perfect word that you could ever say, and the car is like upside down going down that little fucking going into the subway, I expected to like the camera to pan down and they're not in the car anymore.
Totally.
They magically like got out at some point, but no, like they're just in there like and Florence's like hand is bleeding a little bit. Like she got a little paper cut or something. Like it gets kind of fucking wild during those sequences. So I totally agree with these car atrocities. Tone it down, Marvel.
Yeah.
With what Greg is saying though about the Ghost Skull Man and stuff, it's like to me, it's like Avengers sets up different rules, whereas like this movie sets up the rules of super soldiers can throw fucking cars. In the beginning of this movie, we see that, and the rest are humans. So it's like I just feel like it did a bad job of kind of managing expectations and kind of just made her a super person because she's a superhero. And it's like that. I just feel like that takes away from the effects of what this movie could have been had she just like those car sequences didn't add to it. Like her being blown the fuck up, it's like, okay, she could have just dodged it.
Well,
she
yeah,
could have like done something to make her seem more cool and crafty for what she is, which is a super spy agent that has fought alongside the Avengers for years at this point.
Yeah, that's a great distinction to make, right? Because when you don't scale the action to the character, you're kind of doing the character. You're not doing the character a solid, right? And it's always fun to see how creative they've been with her and with Hawkeye being sort of like, regular human characters and having to get sort of like crafty with what they have to do. And that's always been her character. She's a spy. She doesn't get in car crashes like that. She figures out ways to avoid things like that. And so to have some of that action kind of come at you head on did sort of, I don't want to, I guess it kind of dissolved the tension a little bit for what we have. Cause you're like, wait, can she just kind of, at one point I legitimately was like, wait, is she really his daughter? Like, does she have some of the super serum like going through her blood too? And they're like, no, it's not the case.
Yeah,
it's just everything's
on David Harbour.
What's that?
Taskmaster took on David Harbour of like we're seeing Taskmaster fight the Red Guardian, and she's just a normal human.
It's weird that we didn't see that fight though. Like we get
that was weird. That was another thing
we get one cut.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with the Taskmasters. I'm like, why? Yeah. Like that everything there just kind of fell by the wayside coming to the third act, and I just like. I don't know, like David Harbour, that character kind of, I was like, oh, he's going to have a great big moment here. And then we just cut into the middle of his fight scene. It's not a very good fight scene. Yeah.
He's getting knocked to the wall. It's like, you got the superhuman hero syndrome serum.
Yeah, he's out of shape. He hasn't done this in a long time. ScarJo was able to hang in there with him, right? Because she hung in there with the Winter Soldier. Like, she can do this. She can hang in with these people. To your point, though, especially with the relationship between Taskmaster and Dragoff, right? Or Dracoff. I'm going to keep fucking that up throughout the show. Sorry, everybody. They reminded me of very much the guy from Succession and his son from X3. No, X2, right? Remember when William Stryker had his kid that he put in their mind? Yeah, it was a lot of vibes like that going on. And even his death kind of reminded me of how they usually kill somebody in an X-Men movie and not an MCU movie.
Good point. Yeah. Taskmaster is interesting for me because I disagree with you, Greg, about thinking that he's kind of lame. Like, I actually really like him, but I get that he can be lame. And it's like, you need to actually like really, really think about how you're going to use that character to make it interesting. And that's something I really expect from the MCU. It's to take the comics and make them better. Flesh characters out. Combine like two semi-weak characters that have cool elements, make them one fleshed out dope character, right? They've done that so many times. And to start with the positive about Taskmaster in this movie is I like that they didn't kill her. And I like that the suit and the tech and all that stuff's still alive. We can see the real Taskmaster in an upcoming movie or TV show at some point and like really get into that. And I'd be cool with that because I do think that this movie set up the Taskmaster and the understanding of how it works really well, because the mind control stuff and like all of that, I'm like, oh, this is cool. This plot works. And Taskmaster being the villain didn't feel like, okay, the real villain is Dracoff and Taskmaster's just his like crony. It's like, no, that the crony's part of this whole scheme. Taskmaster is this mind control situation. And that kind of explains the being able to learn more than just somebody watching videos and be like, oh, I'm going to move like Hawkeye. I just think that in this movie, they didn't really utilize that in any very cool way. That's like, oh shit, that's a uniquely Taskmaster thing. Like, we really see a handful of him mimicking people's moves, and like a lot of them are kind of blink if you miss it situations. Like the thing I thought was coolest, and I was talking to Nick about it and he didn't see it, is on the bridge scene when there's the grapple hooks, like he moves or she moves just like Spider-Man, like swinging through and like pulls her legs up, and I'm like, that's fucking cool, but like it almost feels like an Easter egg as opposed to this villain copies the Avengers moves. I don't want them to straight up have to tell the audience this is exactly what's happening, but I kind of feel like they didn't fully say it, and that's because they didn't fully show it in any really
you
cool
could have
way.
had a thing where she's doing the dodges and she's like, all right, Tony, whoa, okay, whoa, Spider-Man, whoa, okay, like something like that.
I really enjoyed got it with the Captain America shield.
When he landed just like she did, and they did like the face off, and then when he reuses the knife drop moment and does all that stuff.
I do feel like we got a lot of hints towards like the Captain America shield. There was some bow work that like was reminiscent of
Clint.
Clint, thank you. So I don't know. I felt like it was there, and as much as it needed to be there. And
but my thing there, though, is like it was there, but like we don't just need it to be there. Do something cool with it.
Yeah, I think it's hard too, because I think you don't really see a lot of the bad guys in this, and that's unfortunate, because whenever you have sort of like bad guys that sort of fall flat, it doesn't give the protagonists a lot to bounce off of. And so when you don't have a compelling villain, it's not as fun to watch, the struggle of the protagonists as they make their way through. Really, all we saw them fight was a bunch of generic people that look kind of like Foot Clan from the 2014 TMNT movie. And then we get to Ray Winstead at the end, and they're like, okay, this is a great actor. Like, where has this guy been the whole time? He's like, I'm fighting from the shadows. And I'm like, all right, well. Also, I hate to say it, but like the overarching plot of a lot of these standalone Marvel movies are just gonna fall flat because they're compared to Thanos wiping out half of the known universe. It's difficult to build that tension. And when he's like, I could do anything I want with these widows, I was like, can you snap your fingers and kill every fucking thing that's ever lived ever? Because if you can't, then it's going to be it's not as cool as the thing that we just saw Scarlett Johansson go up against an Endgame.
I almost disagree with you, Nick, on that. Well, where I think that the abilities that this guy has are almost too OP. Yeah, where it was just I'm sure it's not wiping out half the universe, but it's just like, whoa. This seems so high stakes for the ability this guy has of mind control over large groups of people. And it's like for this thing that happened in a timeline that we're not hearing about till now, it just feels very convenient that this movie just kind of came and went and happened to set up Florence Pugh's character for the future. In a moment, they were just like, well, there's a big gap here that we can tell a story. And I kind of just wish they kept it a little smaller scale, kept it a little more family.
I cared about it a lot more when it was just them trying to free like 30 people from being widows. And when we saw the faces of them and we saw them in that room where they were doing the choreography, I was like, this is what this movie should be about. Having to have this overarching plot of this bad guy who's secretly able to take over the world in the 90s. First off, we know it doesn't come to fruition because we've seen multiple movies that have happened since 1996. So, so we know it doesn't happen. So a lot of that tension's gone right there, which is a lot of the same issues I have in general with prequels. But I was very interested in it when they kept it smaller and when it was just about her needing to get free of this guy, and by virtue of that, freeing these other women who are also in servitude there. And then when he just got to the big board and he runs his hand over, I was like, this guy just became like a really generic villain to me. And it wasn't, I don't know. I was like, I just wanted to kill him and move on. Like, let's just get on. Let's get on with this,
But before we get on with it, let me tell you about our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by HelloFresh. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip the trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. There's something for everyone to enjoy with all recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. Enjoy a wide variety of easy, delicious options for 3 meals a day, plus every snack and special treat in between with HelloFresh Market. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Greg. I love to cook, and one of the things that got me started on cooking was these kind of packages, right? HelloFresh sends you the pre-measured ingredients. You get the instructions. You pick ahead of time what sounds good. You don't have to think on the day of. You just go straight down the checklist. You make something good, and you learn how to cook. You learn new methods. That's why I love it. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to HelloFresh.com/morning14 and use the code morning14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/morning14 and use the code morning14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Our next sponsor, why it's Babbel. This summer, get the most out of your travels abroad by learning the language of the destination you're going to with Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app. From ordering in restaurants or asking for directions to gaining a deeper understanding of the culture, Babbel makes the whole process of learning a new language addictively fun and easy with bite-sized lessons you can actually use in the real world. Babbel is a can't-miss travel essential. I'm not even traveling with it. Instead, Jen's mom from the one and only Quebec coming down here. I've been using Babbel. I signed up for Babbel. I'm gonna see if I can talk to her a little bit more in French than usual because I usually can't, but I've been doing Babbel because unlike the infamous language classes you took in high school, Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind. Things you'll get to use in everyday life. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use the promo code MORNING. That's BABBEL.com, code MORNING for an extra 3 months. And our final sponsor of the day is Stamps.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you still going to the post office, still paying full price for postage? Well, thanks to Stamps.com, you don't have to anymore. Mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer. Send letters, ship packages, and pay less, a lot less, with discounted rates from UPS, USPS, and more. Of course, when we were still in the office, one and only Joey Noel was using this to mail out all sorts of stuff for Patreon. We love Stamps.com. Stamps.com brings the services of the United States Postal Service and UPS right to your computer. It's a must-have for any business, whether you're a small office sending invoices, a side hustle Etsy shop shipping out orders, or just navigating this hybrid work life. Stamps.com can handle it all with ease. Stop wasting time going to the post office and instead go to Stamps.com. There's no risk, and with our promo code Kinda Funny, all one word, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Kinda Funny. That's Stamps.com, promo code Kinda Funny. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
Go for it, Andy.
Plot. Is the mic picking me up? Plot.
Yeah.
Plot.
Everybody! The year is 1995 and we are in Ohio. Somewhere a 3-year-old Barrett is putting on his hat for the first time, but that's a Marvel Studios origin story for another time. Instead, we get the one and only Black Widow as a child, riding her bike, wearing her red kicks, her cons, or chucks as the kids call them. She's riding her bike and she comes home and guess what? Her little sister's there. And Jen immediately goes, I thought they were Russian. And I'm like, wait, just wait, babe. Something's afoot here. Not all's Americana in old Ohio here. And so they do some upside down standing competition. I guess kids do that. I got to get used to that. Apparently, I got to get limber. Nick, how far back do you think I'm going to be able to lean like this when my son's there?
I think if you try that, you're going to snap your lower back in half. You'll never, ever be able to do that.
You're
Which
the
one
most
is delusional,
limber man
Kevin?
I know, Greg.
Who's delusional, Kevin? Me or Nick?
Greg.
You're not doing a back bend. When's the last time you did a back
How
bend?
am I delusional?
Do a back bend right now. Do it right now on
You're
camera.
not doing it for 10 seconds.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here
We
we
need
go.
this man to do the plot.
Nah, it's gonna
Watch
be okay.
everyone as Greg hurts his back for the first time as an old man. That's what you think that you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Nope. Okay.
I need to watch that video on how to because I don't even know what I'm supposed to do.
Greg, I want you to
I'll show you.
watch
I'll show you how to do it.
Stop. Kevin,
Yeah.
you just called out Greg saying he thinks that's what he's supposed to do. Can you show us what you're supposed to do?
I can do it back.
I never said that I could do it. I haven't done it in a long ass time.
What are you supposed to do? Explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
You put your hands behind your head like this. So lay on your back, put your hands behind your head like this.
I get on my
arch your
back.
upward.
Start on my back.
All the way. You got to go all the
Here,
way.
Let me see if I can do one real quick.
Oh,
So wait,
God.
Nick,
Nick,
I
don't,
lay
please.
down
Nick,
flat on my back.
Nick, don't, please. This will hurt you. Don't do this.
No, Nick's limber does the jujitsu. He's done it.
Very limber.
Nick's 41.
So hold on. Yeah, you start flat on your back. Got it.
You come
I hope that rug doesn't move, and then you do that thing.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Oh, now I want to try it that way. I didn't think about doing it that way.
Yeah, that seems easy when you look at that, but it's kind of like one of those things you can't touch your elbow thing. All right, Kev's trying
Audio
to go back
listeners,
there.
I'm so sorry. Audio listeners, here we go.
I
Oh,
did it.
No.
Hey, I'll give it to him. I'll give it
All
to
right,
him.
well, let me try it this way.
See if you can do it.
I
I do like it this
I can do
hurt
these
myself there a
after
little
like
bit.
20 minutes of yoga, but I could not do it. You can't do it.
Did you hear him yell? Did you hear
Yeah,
him yell?
I
That
know.
was great.
It's tough. I had a moment where I was like, I think I can do this, but it's going to throw my back out, and I don't want to do that on camera. So
Nick,
there was
what
this
is
sounded like
Nick,
when I
hold on, look at my
accidentally
crotch
step
for
on
a second,
moose.
all right? What is this muscle here on the back of my thigh?
that's your hamstring, I think.
Let me tell you, both hamstrings just screamed in pain or are incredibly sore from me just for 2 seconds trying to.
Yeah. I
as
think
soon
I
as
threw it back
Greg
out.
the first time just sat down on his butt and thought you could see the wires turning of like I have to do this, and he just starts laughing. Like, he knew there's no shot in hell I'm gonna.
It wasn't that I didn't think I couldn't do it; it's that I didn't know how to do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We had some instruction there, but I take it back, Kevin. You're correct. I cannot do that. My body's
I
not
love it.
physically there.
Now,
okay.
I will say, if you
Before we
warm your
move on-
body up a little bit, you can probably do it later.
I want to give a major shout out, getting back to the plot of the casting for these young girls and the de-aging of David Harbour. All of this totally bought, totally loved. That looked like a young ScarJo. I loved it.
What about Rachel Weisz?
Feel good too.
She's timeless. She didn't
Right?
have to. They
I
didn't have
mean,
to do any
she
de-aging
looked
to her.
like she did in The Mummy. It's like, oh, this is the lady from The Mummy.
Oh my god, it is! I didn't even realize that.
Oh my God, Andy.
Can you, Andy? I'll give you $1 if you can guess who she used to be married to. I don't know if they're still married.
Brendan
Brendan
Fraser.
Fraser.
No, Daniel Craig.
The Mummy.
Whoa.
I'll look it
Thus
up.
making the best looking couple ever made.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still married or not.
There you have it. Anyways, though, they're at home, and then they're all out there, and
still
Yelena scrapes her knee. Huh?
They're still married.
Wow.
Daniel
So
Craig.
hot.
Oh.
Love is real. Love is
Love
real.
is real.
Just watch Knives Out again. Great film.
God, so good.
She scrapes her knee. Rachel Weisz comes out, is like, shake it off. Pain makes it stronger. Come on, kid. But she's being very motherly. She's not being cold yet. And they go in there and they start cooking dinner. And the little kid wants mac and cheese. And she's like, well, you're going to eat some fucking corn. Eat this.
Gross.
And then, David Harbour comes home and he looks like a fucking straight up dork. You know what I mean? Nick, you'll get this reference. He looks like Jamie's dad in Small Wonder, right? He looks like Ted. He looks like the guy who built Small Wonder.
Yeah.
again.
Fucking loser.
Small
Yeah.
Wonder again.
I will
I
say-
can't help it that you guys didn't watch this touchstone of American culture. All right? It all goes back to Small Wonder. Do you know
It
that's where Kevin
always
Feige
does.
worked? That was his
It's
first
true.
project ever in the industry. And now
Yeah,
you're going to make
Kevin
fun of it.
Feige
You're gonna
was-
critique everything.
The
There's
Small
no way
Wonder.
that's
He
true.
was the Small Wonder.
Go ahead and Wikipedia Small Wonder. Scroll down to interns.
Yeah,
I don't
where are
know.
we?
Oh, I hit the button on my desk. My God.
We're still in Ohio, Andy.
I'll talk to
We're
you guys
still in
later.
Ohio.
I would tell you.
Sorry. Hit the button there. 4:45 in the morning. You know what I mean? It's been a long
Why'd
day.
you
All right.
wake
I
up
So
made,
so
anyway,
this,
early?
I made this graphic just so you all know when to shut the fuck up. Because good lord, man, we have been talking over each other at such a clip. Like, it's worse than it was at the start of the pandemic. We need to get better about this. So everybody,
I can mute him,
clear
guys.
the
I can
comms.
mute him.
this is
I'm
a
just saying
fun
I
one
can
where we
mute
can
him.
just. This is the show where we let our hair down.
Can
You know what I mean?
you though?
Also, Andy, like you
that's the
opened
real
up a
question.
text file in OBS. Like that's not an achievement there. You know what I mean?
I'm
All right,
impressed.
sorry, Andy.
Dude,
Just for
at least
you, let
there's
me
a
get everybody
noise.
get serious. Let's get back on the point. All right, David Harbour comes home. I'm sorry, Andy wants everybody to be serious. Everybody, so you have to Google Ted from Small Wonder later. All right, he comes home though, and trust me, he looks like Ted. All right, and he's all like, "I'm a huge dork," and he comes in though, and he starts like looking out the window, and he has a beer, and immediately Rachel Weisz is like, "What's up?" And he's like, "It's happening." She's like, "How long do we got?" And he's like, "Maybe an hour," and so then they sit down and decide to eat their corn or whatever, you know what I mean? And he's like, kids, you know how he's talked about taking a big adventure, the big adventures today kind of thing. And they all go, the little one goes, yeah, right. And Rachel Weisz already said she didn't want to go. And he's like, don't talk like that. We gotta go. We're fucking super spies, international super spies. And so
TikTok.
then-
Greg, thank
TikTok,
you.
there you go. You know what I mean? Sorry, I gotta be professional. Andy wants me. Oh, I hit the button the wrong way. Bye, everybody. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you later. I'm down here. Oh no, it is Ted from Small Wonder.
This
Yeah,
is my
now, Andy,
favorite
look at-
thing. He's done.
Andy, look at Ted from Small Wonder there and tell me that doesn't look exactly like David Harbour in this motion picture.
It does. You're right. You're absolutely
Thank you very
right.
much. So they all pile in the car. They got fruit roll-ups in the car.
Doesn't look
Nick, you get in
anything
the car
like
with
David
fruit
Harbour.
roll-ups?
It looks nothing like
looks
David
so
Harbour
much like you,
from the
joking, Nick.
movie.
It looks exactly
No, it
like
doesn't look
him.
anything like him.
Like a small, like a
All
not
right,
super
exactly,
version.
or
Come on.
inspired
The wig.
by.
He's
You know
got
what I
like a
mean?
wig.
Come
sure.
on, Nick. You got to think. Use your brain.
When you look at the Crimson Dynamo, do you say he looks exactly like Captain America, or he's inspired by Captain America? You know?
Crimson
He
Dynamo
looks
is not
nothing,
that.
he looks
That's a
nothing
different
like
thing.
Captain America.
I really hope that we get the director's commentary. And young David Harbour here was really inspired by Ted from Small Wonder.
Which was Kevin Feige's very first project, apparently.
They're getting all the information for their show from our show. This is just fucking funny.
We gotta stop watching a show called Kind of Funny. We gotta stop doing that.
So they try to leave town, and there's people there, like they've already got the road stopped or whatever. So they go a different way, and they leave town a different way, and they drive by a baseball game. Oh, Rachel Weisz apologized to ScarJo too. She's like, "Sorry, I don't want to do this either." And it's like, "We got to go though." And so they go, and they get there to an airfield, and then they go into a little hangar. It's just, it's just a tent, and there's a plane in there, and they start getting it ready. And David Harbour just flips this giant metal thing like the Hulk would. He's like, "Oh man, he's super strong. That's cool."
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, cool. Bad guy or the cop, not the bad guys. I guess the good guys are showing up. Turns out they're SHIELD agents, right? And they race on there, and David Harbour starts taking pop shots at him, and then the plane pulls out. And they start going to the plane, and then they start, the SHIELD guys, they're shooting at the plane, right? And they hit Rachel Weisz, and then little ScarJo's got to come up and fly the plane. And then David Harbour, he's shooting back at the SHIELD guys, and he starts running, and he jumps on the wing, and he's hanging on the wing for a while, and he's shooting. Yeah, Kevin?
I just want to say all of this action was really cool. David Harbour
Really good.
shooting from like the wing and running. All of it looked really cool. And also very, very like the drama of real high right here where she gets shot through the shoulder. I'm stressing out. I know they're going to get up, but this little kid is doing a great job acting. I was scared for her. It's tough.
Down to this scene for not being in the trailer. Like this is like the type of stuff I want to see from this type of movie where I'm sitting here in the theater and I'm like, didn't expect any of this.
Yeah, it was cool.
Thank you.
So, as Kevin was saying, they get up. They get the plane off the ground. Of course, they cause a bunch of car accidents. They kill a bunch of SHIELD agents. Turns out later they'll be Hydra agents, but you understand. They get in the air and they fly from Ohio to Cleveland. You know what I mean? A very similar flight that Bear just took from San Francisco to Cleveland, but I'll leave it out. So then he gets to Cuba, and this is where the accents come out, right? This is the heart of communism down there, and they're all like, hey, Mother Russia, and all that stuff. And like they're slapping faces and hugging and doing like these kind of handshakes and shit. And then Rachel Weisz, she's been shot and she's on a stretcher. So the kids start flipping out and they'll be fine. And Rachel Weisz taps baby ScarJo, and she's like, don't let him take your heart or whatever. And then, David Harbour's talking to the guy, Dracoff. And he's like, yeah, we're best friends and we always will be, right, Dracoff? And he's like, we sure will be. And he's like, I don't want to go back undercover anymore, though. Let me go be, Crimson Dynamo again. I really like being him. I like running around and punching stuff.
That's the wrong name.
But it's an in joke because that's what Elena calls him. And if you would have watched the fucking film rather than fucking scratching your ass the entire movie, you'd know this, all right?
What I do?
That's what we've admitted. Scratching your ass, Kevin. He said scratching just to be clear.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying fucking something in your ass. He said fucking scratching your ass.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like our first hint that they don't care about each other for a reason, right? Like this is kind of our first hint at it because at this point we still are to believe that they are just a normal couple that met each other, right?
I from the beginning was this is all fake. This is all fake.
Yeah, this is
like I assume. Yeah, I watched The Americans. I assume they were put together.
Yeah. I saw a commercial for The Americans.
My bad.
Enough.
Got it. Yeah, because when
she's
she's
dying to produce The Americans, Andy?
J.J. Abrams.
The same person who did Small Wonder. Thank you very much.
Kevin Feige.
So when Mama's bleeding out and David Harbour doesn't give a shit at all and the kids are all scared.
No, see, that's the thing. David Harbour
gives a shit, but it is part of the mission.
No, he gives a shit. They've been banging, right? They've been banging for a while.
Oh, yeah, they've been banging.
They've been like, hey, a lot of we're mom and dad. Let's bang it out. And like, they're all into it.
They got to keep up appearances. He's like, honey, you never know if the neighbors have cameras in here. And she's like, great point. Anyways, they load her on the plane, and then they start to separate the kids here, right? And baby ScarJo won't have it. She, grabs the dude's gun.
Love this
she's
part.
like, come on.
She doesn't just grab his gun. She walks up like a trained soldier, pulls the gun, and kicks him at the same time.
Well,
yeah.
And then it's just like, I'll fucking kill you. And so you're like, damn, they like trained this kid already.
Yeah, she's already been part of the Red Room, and we assume that the 6-year-old girl, Yelena.
I don't think she had yet.
Yeah, so
no, she had. She doesn't want to go back.
Because she started the project when she was 3, Yelena. Not.
Oh, so she.
Yeah. So Yelena probably wasn't brought in. I can't imagine them training a 3-year-old.
Yeah, because remember she has that moment later where she's like, to all of you, you all knew this was fake. To me, it was real. Like I didn't know that you weren't my family until this whole thing happened, which is like that's so heartbreaking.
This is at the crux of why she grabs the gun, Scarlett Johansson's.
Because she knows what she's about to go through, and it's horrible.
She's like, she doesn't want her to be sent to the Red Room. She knows what she's about to do, let alone she doesn't want to go back. But David Harbour talks her down. And is like, hey, Mother Russia, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then the guys come up behind. They get them with syringes, right? Knock them out. And then we get a cool opening credit crawl, right? Where it's like,
I got to stop you here, Greg Miller, to introduce a new podcast within a podcast called Tim's Top Tings.
Tim's Top Tings, Tips Top Tings, Tips Top Tings, 30 seconds. Tips Top Tings. I can't say that.
That was a lot, man. I'm proud you got that far.
Does it only go on for 30 seconds? Because we're 9 seconds in.
I'm on fire.
11 seconds.
I need to explain this to everybody. I just wanted to make a podcast with a podcast called Tim's Top Things, but that doesn't sound as good as Tim's Top Tings. So I slacked Andy. I need a theme song for Tim's Top Tings in 30 seconds. Didn't mean the show title would be in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I meant Tim, stop talking.
I was giving Andy 30 seconds to make a theme song for Tim's Top Tings. So here we are with Tim's Top Tings in movies.
Amazing.
Period.
Amazing.
All right. Okay. So we can just start here. Andy, you fucking killed it. I love you so much.
I thought it was like Andy's 30-second review. Like you're gonna do here's a 30
that was my bad.
Got it.
That was my bad. So here's how this works. Okay. I am now adding a 4th thing to the Tim's Top Tings
Wow.
list. You guys have never heard any of it, but at number one, we're talking about movies. We're talking about what are Tim's favorite moments. And number one, the Tim's Top Tings. No, it's the cavalry is here moment. It is the moment where things are looking bad, but then all of a sudden someone comes through. It's Dominic Toretto in Fate of the Furious. It's on your left. It's the entire Overwatch 2 announcement trailer. We're doing some fun stuff here, right? That's number one. Number two is a post-credit scene that makes the entire theater make noise. You know what I mean? Whether it's an oh shit, whether it's crying, whether it's whatever, it's a post-credit scene that everyone's feeling something about. Number three, the getting the team together scene. Usually it's earlier in the movie, but you gotta love it. And number four, the dope opening credits moment. And this fucking movie gave me it, and I didn't expect it. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the use of the Nirvana song. Are you kidding me? An epic opening song that normally would be reserved for movie trailers. No, this movie has two great movie trailer music moments. One, straight up just using a whole fucking song for a dope opening montage with incredible visuals. Love the motion graphics. We don't get the end credit scene. It's, if you notice, normally Marvel movies end with the flashy credits. We get that in the beginning. Make it part of the movie. Give us some story. Fuck yeah. Love that a lot. And also, a lot of the Black Widow trailer music we saw, the like crazy ass synth shit, they had that sprinkled throughout here. So shout out to all of you. Fucking love this stuff. That's number four. Andy Cortez, what's up?
Yeah, I wanted to say that opening credit sequence, I absolutely love it because it reminds me a lot of Black Ops Call of Duty's intro, where it's all this sort of, photos of Dracoff or whatever with all, you see him with Bill Clinton, you're like, oh, he's a pedophile too. Like, it's crazy seeing all this sort of shit happening.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, but like all these, like all the imagery really reminds me of kind of, hey, when you want to make a video about like somebody being sought after, right, by the government, you need a dope ass song, and you kind of need crazy like visuals and then circling his face and showing a map and all this shit. Like it's like there's a class out there on YouTube that's like, hey, want to make this type of intro? Here's how you do it. And everybody follows the same formula and it works every time. It's beautiful. Like, and I'm like, dude, I leaned over to Joey. I was like, this movie rules. Like, I already love this shit. Yeah.
This was the moment where it's like, oh, fuck. This movie is more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So,
it's more than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye.
Transformers.
So they roll through that, and again we get Natasha and little Natasha again thrown in the jail, the like mine cart with all the other kids taken there. They're buzzing in, they're watching cartoons, but they're all in captivity and learn to be killers. We got it. Then we jump ahead 21 years later, right? And it's Natasha herself, Black Widow, ScarJo, in the bathroom. She's clearly moving things around, and she's got a disguise kind of thing. She's moving around there, and then who shows up? Thunderbolt Ross himself, and they surround the place that she's in, and he's like, I want her alive. She broke the Sokovia Accord. She attacked the king of Wakanda. So there we go. Immediately putting this movie into place, right? Bink. All right, cool. This is post Civil War, but pre Civil War credit scene. Because, of course, when Thunderbolt Ross gets her on the phone, he's like, oh, we already got all the other one, including the little shrinking man or whatever. Like, they're all in jail, and now we're going to get your ass too, and you broke the Sokovia Accords. And she's like, oh, really? I don't think so. This makes you look desperate, and you're embarrassing. And he's like, I had a triple bypass. Well, she calls that out, but fucking Thunderbolt Ross having a million heart attacks.
He looks rough. Well, is it just the de-aging of somebody who's way too old at this point?
No, I think he's really old. Right?
I got the
de-aged him. I think they were just like, oh, he just had heart surgery.
No, dude, they had like hella prosthetics on him. You could tell, like, he just. There was a point where I was like, damn, he looks really old, and they're like doing a lot to this. And then I started sort of thinking, is this just a completely different person acting as him? Because maybe he was too old for the role. And then it got to the point, Tim, where I think of goddamn Gandalf, what's his actual name? Sir Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen.
I'm thinking of Ian McKellen in Lord of the Rings and how he was already old by that point. And then he reprised the role nearly 20 years later in The Hobbit. And by this point, he is just like fucking old. Same with Christopher Lee. And like they did at a point, I was like, I don't know is he walking correctly? I don't know. I was very put off by this scene. I again had to lean over to Joey in about 3 or 4 moments of leaning over and being like, damn. Thunderbolt Ross, man. He's seen better days, dude. He looks really rough up here.
And he has upcoming projects, too. If I remember correctly, he's going to be in She-Hulk. So
Oh yeah, he's one of those great through line characters, right? That's in all these different movies.
Yeah, and I just like talking about some fun future stuff like the Valentina Allegra De Fontaine stuff. Like she's probably working with him, so it's like them connecting all that stuff and that being in this movie is definitely for a reason.
Is this what he actually looked like in the late one? 'Cause, like, is Andy totally right?
Maybe he just like lost a lot of weight, but he just doesn't look healthy. It worries.
I mean, he's a human being,
No,
well, that's not a real image of him.
It is. He looks fucking weird in this movie. I'm with Andy.
I didn't even notice. I didn't even
William
notice
Hurt.
that.
He's
He had
old.
some weird-
But
But it
this
must have been weird
enlarge that
looking.
again. That's not a real image of this man.
Yes,
I
it
don't know,
is.
man. Looks
That's
like
how
a
he looked.
screenshot from a trailer.
That's
or
from that
something.
Avengers game that Greg likes.
I'm looking. Do it again. I'm looking right now. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you that he looks older in this movie. I'm on Disney Plus right now. I'm at the 1654 mark, and that is not. I mean, it's not like obviously the same image, but like that's like fucking Bigfoot photography there. Why is Avengers Endgame also look like he was fucking taken by a paparazzi?
Nick,
I don't know,
so
man,
we were just having the discussion that like he looks like he has crazy prosthetics on, like to de-age him, obviously, because this is supposed to be him in the what, late 90s or what era was this? What year was this?
21 years after 95. You do the math. 2016.
Oh, way later. Okay, never mind. Either way, he just looks like they're really trying to put some duct tape on something that isn't put together that well. And if you would have told me that the actor was like 88 and they were trying to do their best to make him look younger, I would have believed it. But 71, not bad. Hopefully,
not bad.
we got 30 more
Anyways,
years.
he circles up. They start all moving in. She talks all her shit or whatever, and they finally get to the bathroom and they kick in the door. And guess what? She's not in there at all. Just her suit and her tracking device. She's all the way up in fucking Norway, right? She's on a little boat.
Oh, you mean Norway?
Also,
She's
I
on a
think
little boat.
Greg,
And
am I
so
wrong,
she's
or
up there.
has-
She's gonna
has
start doing
William
like,
Hurt-
fuck, what the fuck, man? And so, she gets there and she gets off the boat and I'm gonna introduce. No, I'm wrong. Don't shh, Greg.
Is this the part where they come out of the water and then all the women start chanting like Gregorian chants? They're like,
No, that you're thinking of Zack Snyder's Justice League 4 hour.
Oh, sorry, I got those confused. My
They
bad.
come out. We have her costume, sir, and the tracking chip. And he's like, "Fuck, she got away." And then all the Shield agents gather around it and walk forward, going, "I am a Black Widow. Where have you gone? Sokovia Accords, you signed them. You broke the law." This guy comes out with an incense.
You're joking here, Greg, but shout out to the score in this movie and its use of Gregorian chants, like the
Amazing.
Russian
Dude,
chants.
the movie's
Fucking
dynamite.
awesome.
The score's
I
phenomenal.
love that shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, then this is where we jump over to see Yelena herself as in the Black Widow squad, right? They're making a move on a target. This target's got some stuff, and she's in that room. We're watching her, and we're all getting ready to do the thing. And then, oh no, we've been made. Ramirez, I've lost sight of Ramirez. And so they fucking run out there, and she's like, I'm group leader. I'll go fucking get this woman. And so she's running around, and then the woman on the ground's running around. She's got a little lunchbox. And a woman's run, and they're all run, and then boom, door hits her in the face, right? We got our own Loki moment here, you know what I mean? Just like when Hulk slams the door open, hits Tony Stark, fucks everything up. This is one of those through lines. And you think of Star Wars, what do you think of, Andy? When you think of a good I've got a bad feeling about this. Let's shoehorn that in every fucking motion picture. Really remind you this is fake shit. This is the fake shit of the MCU. Doors are always going to hit people and they're going to drop important things. So what happens? Door flies open, hits this woman, she drops her case. Young Black Widow comes like, I'm the new Black Widow. And they're like, oh, fuck. And they fight for a second or whatever. And she's got the knife and they're going back. She drops the knife. She gets stabbed in the gut. Does the little move up and then the pull over, Andy. That doesn't heal. That's not going to heal.
Twists,
That's when
she twists, Andy. That's how you get the infection in there.
Never twist.
bad.
Never twist.
Unless you're trying to kill someone, in which case, twist. Was it not Yelena who opened the door and hit her with it?
it was Yelena, yeah.
Okay.
I said young Black Widow because I will continue to struggle with Yelena as a name throughout this entire thing.
I thought you were implying that a random door had opened coincidentally and hit her.
No, it was part of the thing. It was definitely part of the thing. Sorry, Nick Scarpino, what's your question?
I'm just looking right now, confirming William Hurt has always looked like he was 71 years old. There is not one picture of this man when he ever looked young.
You missed the
He
point.
lost a
It's
lot
not
of
big
weight,
deal.
remember? And I think that's what really made
Now, here's the thing. This is a future setup for next week's in review for Space Jam. But if you're telling me this man's 71, he has a whole year to get himself a motorbike. Just saying.
Oh wow, so that's a nice in review Easter egg for you.
What
I don't
the
understand that. Is that a
hell
Dumb and
could that
Dumber
mean?
Dumb and Dumber reference?
He
A
just
reference to the
explained there was a
director of
reference.
Space Jam.
I don't understand that.
Remember when the director of Space Jam
Oh.
rode a motorbike? Yeah.
If you'd have said dirt bike, I would have been with you. Motorbike makes
excuse
it
me.
sound like
I'm not up on my bike terminology. You know what I
that's
mean, Andy?
okay.
Tim, I know that happened today. Would have guessed it was a week ago.
Yeah. It's been a
This
while.
morning we recorded that. But yeah, it's all good, guys. Sorry. Don't mean to
That's on me.
sidetrack this. Let's keep going.
So she stabs Lunchbox Lady, and in her final throws, Lunchbox Lady takes one of these vials and cracks it, and she sucks in all this red stuff, and her eyes go all red for a second. And she's like, well, "Oh no!" And I forget the red Lunchbox Lady's name, but young, not Black Widow is like, "Oh no, the Lunchbox Lady, we were friends." And she's like, She might say something. I forget.
Free them all. She's like, free the
note
rest
for-
of them.
Note for the dying girl. Would have had one of those in my hand just in case that's who they send to chase after me. You know, a black girl that's been
smart
brainwashed.
move.
You know, would
This was the moment. In contrast to the opening montage, was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good movie." This was the moment when her eyes went red, where I'm like, "Okay, okay, maybe not, maybe not."
But she wakes up and she's like, "Oh man, something's wrong here, right?" And then all the other widows are like, little Black Widow, where have you gone?" You know what I mean? And then they radio back home to.
It's like you have the script right in front of you.
They radio home. I gotta keep every time I'm gonna look for this motherfucker's name, Dracoff. I look at IMDb every time I go down Dracoff. They hit up Dracoff and they're like, "Listen, team leader's compromised," and he's like, "Find her and fuck her up." And then he goes downstairs and Taskmaster's there, and Taskmaster's watching Hawkeye fight from Civil War, right, with the arrows, and Taskmaster's learning this. And again, they don't really call it out. I mean, we know it obviously, and then eventually they kind of say it, but you know, whatever. And then on top of watching it or learning it. Now, he comes down, or somebody comes down, they hand a USB drive to some lady, and she comes over, she shoves that in Taskmaster, and then she goes, "Smile, why so serious?" You're like, well, that was a weird one. That's a weird scene for me, but okay. Yeah, smile, Taskmaster.
A little weird.
He's just sitting there like a big weirdo. Anyways, now that that's in play and we know about the lunchbox, now we go up to more Norway, right? And Scarlett Johansson, she's just up in Norway now, just like, it's nice here and overcast, no one will find me. And so she goes to like a trailer in the middle of nowhere. Norway.
I'm Norway.
And who does she find in there? Everybody? The husband from Handmaid's Tale. And I was like, fuck yeah, love this guy in Handmaid's Tale. Happy to see him get more work. Then what happens? This guy opens his mouth, and it's the thing that just breaks my heart every time. I'm like,
British.
You're fucking British, aren't you?
Yeah. All the good ones.
Why are all these great actors coming from Britain? You know what I mean?
No.
Cameron Cuff, this guy.
Rachel
William
Weisz.
Shakespeare.
Rachel Weisz.
The list goes on. You fill it in. Fill it in with your
Greg.
favorite
I
British
won you
actor.
over.
Oh, Henry Cavill. There you go. There's a good one. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
Bill
Never knew
Shakespeare,
that.
but
She's
he
over
can't
there
do it.
doing
Henry
shit too,
Cavill's
right?
British.
HBO show. What's the HBO show?
Recession.
Mayor of Easttown.
Sopranos.
Man.
What's her name? Kate Winslet?
Kate Winslet.
Okay, yeah, well, that's
No
different. I
way,
knew that.
no
She
way.
never
She's
made
good
any false
American.
pretenses. She showed up in Titanic and she's like, "Listen, everybody,
Here's
I'm
who
going to
I
be
am.
famous. I'm kind of British." And I'm like, "I get it. Cool. Thank you for not pulling the wool over my eyes for
British.
multiple seasons of Handmaid's Tale."
There wasn't enough space for
that's
both of
good.
us on that one.
Exactly. Anyways, we introduce Handmaid's Tale guy, and he's like, "Yo, I'm a guy who can find things and fix things, and I got you this thing, and you get to stay here, and there's gas out there, and you got to bring your trash in. It's 20 kilometers or some shit, and also here's a bunch of mail from Budapest." And she's like, "Budapest," and he's like, "Budapest," and she's like, "Budapest," and I'm like, "I don't know. I've never heard anyone say Budapest." All right. And I'm pretty sure I've heard Hawkeye say to you Budapest, and I've heard you say Budapest to him. Did they ever correct it? Why wasn't this thing? You know what I mean? Or was it correct?
This read to me as Kevin Feige and MCU team seeing Reddit threads for years of being like, they're saying it wrong. And they're like, oh, it's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod of like, we're addressing the fandom.
Totally.
Did they do that? Did she call it Budapest in the movie in Avengers?
No, I think it's
I think she
I
just
think
said
that's how
I
you're
think-
supposed to say it.
Yeah, I think they originally pronounced it Budapest, and she now is trying to correct that by saying Budapest.
But she
I
never
think
got
it's-
corrected on camera, right? So why would that be something that when she said it wrong one way?
She corrected someone else on camera. He was like, "What happened? Something
Nope,
Budapest." And
nope.
she said,
Okay, we're lines are getting crossed here. She has a conversation with Hawkeye in the previous movies where they both
Right.
talk about Budapest.
They pronounced it incorrectly
Yeah,
back then.
they said it wrong. They're fixing it now, Greg.
So now they're fixing it with her correcting another person's mispronunciation.
I mean, she should be corrected. That would be the scene, right?
She's learned and she is now correcting them.
She learned off camera. That's interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those where I wish you would just run the whole gamut, right? It's Puma and it's Jaguar. Can we just correct all these stupid Americans who don't understand how to say words correctly?
All right, yeah, I left you all your stuff from Budapest. You were right about that. And real quick before I leave, the funny little videos that aren't videos on the internet, do you call them GIFs? All right, thanks. I'm gonna walk off into this field now. I'm the guy from Handmaid's Tale. But she's like, I don't want any of this crap from Budapest. And so he's like, well, then just fucking throw it away. You gotta go driving to town anyway, right? She's like, fine. Throws the crap in her car. Then she starts like chilling out in her new cool camper, and she's she's just chilling out. Oh, this is where you're talking. She had the hair dye, right? She had the hair dye that were like teasing.
Did she end up dyeing her hair? Oh, that was the blonde. God, that's where she got
like where she learned about Budapest or whatever. Also interesting. Jen and I called out when like, what is she eating caviar? She's just sitting there eating caviar like Rachel Weisz wanted in the before times. I want macaroni and cheese. She's like, I want caviar and champagne. Anyways. Funny. Generator dies. She goes out there. She's like, this is totally fucked. And there's no gas. She shakes the gas can. She's like, fuck it. Tosses it in next to the fucking VHS lunchbox tape. By the way, in the mail from Budapest was the lunchbox. You know what I mean?
That's kind of funny.
We don't have to discuss this any further as what, after what I'm just about to say. But if you were to show me like 5 different foods and ask me which one is caviar, I wouldn't be able to point it out. Go ahead and continue, Greg.
No, you would.
I know you wouldn't eat it though, would you? You wouldn't eat it, would you?
I probably wouldn't eat it, but I also don't even know what it looks like.
You eat it on little pancakes. Isn't that good enough for you?
On a pancake?
Little baby
pancake. Thought about this big.
Shut the fuck. I thought like
Bellinis,
a cracker.
they call them. Bellinis.
I thought it'd be a little
crackers too, but Bellinis are all, there you go, a little sour cream or whatever, the white fresh fried.
Lying to you.
When I was in France after the London meet and greet, we went to a caviar restaurant. That's like what they did. Let me tell you, I had a bunch of caviar in different ways. It was crazy.
What was the most extreme way that they gave you the caviar?
They held me down, Nick. They held me down, brought out a funnel. You paid for the gourmet package, piggy.
Can't wait for this one.
I was like, this is the only English you're smoking to me all night. Stop.
Jesus God, we've gone off the rails.
Were we ever on the rail?
No.
Were we ever on the rail?
Remember the time that I legitimately hurt my back trying to do a stone cold back bend, and now the rest of the weekend I'm gonna have to pretend like I didn't hurt myself doing a fucking podcast. That's when we went off.
If we're gonna have it, Andy, do you mind us taking a quick side? We're pulling off onto the shoulder of the road here. Do you mind? I know you wanted a very buttoned up in review today. Is that okay?
Yeah.
What I want to call out is that I'm Greg Miller. You know what I mean? I don't pat myself in the back often, all right? But I do want it on the record. I took off my pants and no one noticed, all right? I'm hot today. It is a hot one today.
Oh, I can't.
Anyways, old ScarJo's bopping to the radio. She goes to turn on a bridge. Fucking rocket launcher. It's Taskmaster. And she's like, oh, shit, what the fuck? And so she tries to get out of the car, and then she can't get out of the car, and then he's coming, and she finally gets out of the car, and she shoots, but he's using the shield just like Captain America. Again, I could have gone for. I'm with Tim on this. Could have gone for not like beat me over the head with it, but little like Steve or whatever. You know what I mean? Some of this. Oh, what's going on? You know what I mean? And so they're over there doing it or whatever, and they're fighting on the bridge. Very similar to, of course, Marvel's Avengers. Remember, of course, Black Widow, Taskmaster fighting on the bridge.
Distractingly similar, I would say.
Very similar, right?
Because already in Avengers, that was already similar to other times you've seen Taskmaster in animated properties, which granted, I understand there's levels of mainstream canon of what people understand. But yeah, this was a little weird for me.
On top of that, I do want, when we get to voting, my vote should count for 2 votes, since of course I've played the Red Room Takedown the Red Room Takeover in Marvel's Avengers right now, and I did buy the white suit today.
There's
so just
you are one of 40 people that
I'll allow it.
Thank you very much, Nick. That means a lot to me. So they brawl, and she's wounded, or she's fucked up from the explosion, right? She's not 100%. Taskmaster's taking it to her. Like, we already talked about it. We get the cool flip. They do the same thing. He drops the knife, uses the knife. We see it, but she's losing. And so eventually, she understands this is bad. I'm in a bad situation here, right? And so like he's fucking her up. She eventually, is this where it was? You're talking about where she shoots the whoop, whoop, whoop rope around his legs, then she attaches him to the thing. Is this where he swings like Spider-Man?
Because he cuts it.
I gotta go back and watch that.
He cuts it and he swings through. Yeah, I mean he doesn't do the hand thing, but
yeah, but he does the like Spider-Man pose.
Yeah.
Anyways, this gives her a quick second to run to the lunch pail. She opens the lunch pail. He doesn't know this. Runs the lunch pail, opens it up, takes all the vials, and then he's like, "See you later," or she's like, "See you later, trash." I guess we could say he because we don't know the reveal yet. "See you later, trash," and throws her off the bridge, and then opens the lunchbox.
Like, doesn't he just kick her the fuck off in the most brutal fashion? I like it was that kick that me and about 5 other people around me all at the same time were like, "Oh shit!" Like what the? Because I think that sequence was just done really well visually and audioly was what I'm looking for.
Audibly.
Andy, speaking of visual sequence, is done really well. Look at this. See this?
Oh wow!
Yeah, here we are.
Corey Cudney already made the gift.
Nope. I didn't even get. You guys got way farther than I did. I didn't even get anywhere close to this.
There we go.
It's funny looking at it. I can, you can start to plan and be like, okay, I need to use more arms in it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like I could do it. I feel like
I could do you, Kevin. I think if you just warmed up a little bit and stretched,
honestly,
you could get
that's what I need. A good stretching.
Yeah,
what I think if you
just like 5 minutes of stretching and warm up, you can crush that.
I need Nick to a sequence of Nick saying like, yeah, I've been training in mixed martial arts for quite a while, and I do a lot of jujitsu, and then it immediately cuts to him shooting the basketball straight up, and then to that move right there.
God, that was. I'm going to tell you right now, a bridge move is something you have to do a lot in jujitsu, and that is sad. I got about half a foot, like half of a centimeter off the ground, and pulled my back muscle.
Anyway, this sequence, I love just the way that how loud everything was, right? It was just sort of like an attack on all the senses. And then as soon as she gets kicked and hit, and that really like good impact sound that you really want, she hits that fucking thing and it is silent immediately. And you just hear her splashing into the water. Beautifully done. I loved this whole sequence.
And so, she washes up on shore. Taskmaster looks out and is like, "Fuck, this sucks." And out on shore, she looks at the red thing from the lunchbox and finds the photo because I skipped this, but when they were evacuating the house, Yelena grabbed the photo thing and kept him or whatever. And so she tore half and put him in there. And mailed it to the Budapest safe house, right? And so now ScarJo's like, shit, I got to go back to Budapest, right? And we've heard a lot about Budapest, right? And this is something that comes up all the time in the MCU when we're talking about Hawkeye. So this is where she goes to the safe house, like we were talking about. She goes in there, and that's where she meets up with Yelena. And this was the fight scene we were talking about earlier, what I thought was super Jason Bourne, right? Of them like rolling around and beating the shit, using what they can in the house to fight each other. Elena eventually goes over there, grabs the knife, and then ScarJo grabs something off a desk, and they start brawling around. They switch each other's guns. Cool shit. I really enjoyed this.
They must suffer from CTE in the future. Like, there's no way their brains are not rocking around or their skull just destroying all their mental faculties by the age of 58,
Sure. Well, this is the one, too, where Natasha grabs Yelena, right, and, like, throws her into, like, the cupboard, like, smashes her through something. I thought that was cool.
Good. All the action here is really good. And, Andy, they're not making it that far along.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, definitely not Scarlet, right, but...
So then they are choking each other, but they stop, and then they start catching up, and she explains a little bit of what's going on, right? Yeah, she explains what's going on of like, listen, like, well, I got brainwashed, and that's what this is, the antidote or whatever. And she's kind of like, oh, no, I killed him. Is this where they lay it all out? I killed that guy. Did you confirm the body? It feels too early. It feels rushed because people come to get them. People come to get them, right?
Yeah, this scene I want to give a shout out to, though, I thought was really good for kind of just development of the MCU as a whole, because I have a lot of criticism of the power levels and how they make these humans like too overpowered. I think the scene was really good for the most part. There were some hits and throws into walls and shit where I'm like, okay, her spine is broken. But I think that the way
you digitally took out the rope, but there's no way a body would move like that naturally.
Exactly. But the way that they built up that these are two humans fighting and they're at the peak of their performance, I thought they did a really good job of, obviously we know the ScarJo, Natasha Black Widow, we know her abilities, but like this is our introduction to Florence Pugh. And like there's that question of how are you going to make them the same level but still make both of them badass? And I think that the use of the curtain to kind of wrap around both of them so they're both kind of choking each other was a really good end to that scene, to be like, a passing of the torch in terms of, oh, she's equally badass. Like she is also Black Widow quality. And I thought that was really well done.
It's shown throughout as the other widows fight or whatever, but I love the idea that, we've only known Natasha, we've only known our Black Widow, right? So to see her tackle with other people who have been trained the same way, they go to the same moves, like right where there's that like check down of what you would do in this situation based on how you've been trained, based on the sweeps, all these different things where it's like, oh, that's a really cool idea that, yeah, like obviously there's going to be people who are better, but like you all have the same toolbox of weaponry to use, right? So you understand how
they all trained at Cobra Kai.
Exactly.
So it's like when they face off against Miyagi-Do, they don't see what's coming. So
hard.
Exactly. Exactly.
Best around.
And so, everything gets laid out. The jig's up, though. The other widows move in. Everybody takes off running. There's a bunch of gunfire, and there's like smoke in the air, and they're beating the shit out of some people. But then they take off running. They're trying to get to a motorbike, and they run and they run and they run. They're on some rooftops. They slide down some rooftops. There's one widow in pursuit, slides down a rooftop. They detach a chimney. They ride the chimney down. This is where Black Widow gets her like, see, I'm different than all of you. Like, this woman the other widow who's trying to kill her starts slipping. Natasha grabs her. I'll save you. She grabs a knife, starts swinging at her. Then they all, Elena falls into a glass window. This is where Natasha grabs onto a railing and then kind of tumbles down. And the other widow just falls straight down and gets fucked up. Natasha comes down there and she's like, listen, it's cool. We don't got to do this. Let's not fight. And she's like, we get the overhead shot of her like in a pool of green water and her legs all fucked up and shit. And she's like, no. And it looks like she's going to shoot at Natasha with her thing, but then she turns down herself and she goes, I don't want to do this. And then we get Dracoff back at home, right? Who hits and you know what? It doesn't even help me. God. Draco Malfoy. He's Draco from here on out. Yeah, Draco Malfoy. He's like, you know what? Boop, 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 bing, and he hits the button, and she shoots herself. And then Elena shows back up, or Yelena, and she's like, "Now do you believe me?" She's like, "Yeah, I guess I do." And they start talking about it, and the Taskmaster shows up, and then they run and they get on a bike, and then they race away. And Taskmaster's in a giant tank, and Taskmaster's chasing them. And there's I'm sorry, Kevin.
I wish they had done this scene a little bit differently instead of her shooting herself in the face, which is very dramatic. I do wish that she had like held her own breath or something, and then so it would have just been like, then she stopped breathing, and then later revealed that like when they show the pig, like, oh shit, like they turned off the breathing function in her brain, and she just died there quietly. I feel like that would have been more impactful. Yeah, thank you, Tim.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
you're welcome, Kevin.
Now there's a lot of driving and Taskmaster shooting. I think this is where they use a car as a like Fast and Furious to soften a fall. Kevin, I like these glasses.
Also the tank too. Like I didn't like it. Like the whole like Taskmaster doesn't need a tank. Like this whole thing just kind of felt like taking everything to 12 when like honestly an 8 would have sufficed.
It was a gosh, I'm missing the name right here. Bone Crusher, Skull and Bones. What's his name from Winter Soldier? Crossbones. That's like something that he would drive. Like that's just brute force, not a whole lot of thought behind it. And I especially hated the entrance of it. When they get on the bike and they're like trying to rev up the bike or whatever, and then it like crashes and just kind of stays there looking at him. And it was such a video game moment where like
it felt like a video game. Absolutely. This is Uncharted.
Yeah, but like when you let the sequence play out without doing anything, when like before you hit the quick time event, it's like, let's just see what happens, and the car's just kind of sitting there looking at him.
Idling, like,
you would have killed him, like just fucking kill him.
I did really like the as they're both running to the motorcycle, and she's like, "Which one's yours?" She's like, "The green one, duh," and she goes for her keys, Yelena, and it's like, "What? Where are the keys?" And then Black Widow pulls him out.
We'd already had
him. Gotcha.
I love that.
That felt like I feel like they did a good job peppering that like sibling dynamic, like all over the place. Where it's like it felt very real. Like when we have those moments.
Very big brother, little brother, or big sister, little sister. I love that dynamic, and I thought that was like the strength of the movie for sure.
Okay, so then a lot of chasing. They steal a car. At one point, she's like, "Your plan sucks" or whatever, and then she makes the car go in reverse and then slams the door off to hit the woman who's chasing them on a motorcycle. I like that. But eventually we get to that Carmageddon thing you were talking about where the car gets smashed over, right? Tumbles into the subway. They pop out. Yelena's like, wait, I'm bleeding and I'm hurt. And Black Widow's like, don't fix it. Trust me. And so then, old Taskmaster, she comes down there and she starts following the blood trail and she follows it down a hole, like a grate, and goes underground. And it turns out they were above ground. It was a trap there. You used the blood to get her down there. And then this is where me and Clint hold up in Budapest after they thought they killed Draco Malfoy and Draco Malfoy's daughter by accident. And this is must be where they're. She's like, did you ever see the fucking body? And she's like, I saw the daughter's body or whatever. And she's like, that's not good enough. The daughter wasn't the guy. And he's like, oh no, I never did it. All right, whatever. And this fucking sucks. And then it's life on the run, right? They talk more. I want to. Are you seeing the Rascal Flatts version? Or the original?
All night long.
Which one was from Cars?
You know,
I didn't know there was an original version of that song, and I don't like that you know.
You only know the Cars version, the Rascal Flatts version.
The best version, yeah.
Hey man, I'm not gonna argue. I saw Rascal Flatts in concert, Columbia, Missouri. Granted, when they set off their like streamers, one of them didn't unroll, hit me right in the temple. What I was wrong.
That explains so much. Hey, Greg, what's the current state of your pants right now? Are they still lying on the hardwood floor next to you?
Yeah, they're over here on the ground.
Yeah,
halfway
now
inside.
we know why. We can blame Rascal Flatts for that.
Anyways, they do their whole catch-up thing. They stop at a gas station to get some stuff, and they banter here. Again, this is what I love about the movie, right? I love this
drinks. Yeah.
Then they go to another gas station, or the same gas station, but at night. And this is where, they have some drinks. There's a guy fixing his car over there. Yelena's trying to, like, do her own sutures or whatever. And then Black Widow comes around and does it. And then it's like, what do you want to do? And she's like, oh, I'm finally free. Oh, no, that didn't happen yet. They talk about the jacket yet. They might have talked about the vest here. I forget. It doesn't matter.
They talk about it in the car. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so the car they're about to steal. Anyways, they're catching up. They're having a good time. They're bonding. What are you gonna do now? I'm free. I can do whatever the fuck I want to. And this also maybe when they're like, I made up a backstory for you, right? Like my family's still in Ohio, and you're married. You're a science teacher, and you're married to a guy who retrofits houses or whatever. And then it's like, all right, cool. We'll steal this nice family guy's car over here, and then we're gonna go do our thing, right? And so they're like, cool, we're gonna go do our thing. And this is then when we get met back up with Handmaid's Tale guy. They wanted a jet. He gives them a shitty helicopter. He's like, if I had time and money, different story. Could get you whatever the hell you wanted, but this is all you're able to. I'm able to get you. And they're like, peace, whatever. From here, we go into a prison. This is where the Red Guardian himself, David Harbour, is, right? He's got what?
I said I love it. I love this sequence. It's very weird though. I love David Harbour, and I think he plays the Red Guardian character perfectly. But there's not as much parody between those two characters of him in hiding and him as like he just seems completely absurd now.
Different person,
totally different person. And that's
been locked up for 25 years. Or
I can explain that away that way, but he seems so serious and like cunning and like straightforward when they're in America. And he's just like a silly ass cartoon version of like what you would think a Russian person would be,
Yeah. I also think that some of it is like, haha, you said a funny Russian thing like that we as Americans aren't used to hearing. That's funny because of not only the way it sounded, but it's also so blunt. Like I feel like that's a lot of the humor that we were getting. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I was kind of fine with it. Like I thought David Harbour did a fucking fantastic job with everything he was given in this movie.
I think he did a great job. I just think when I look at those two characters, they don't seem like the natural evolution of the same character, but both were good in their own right. I think was just a little weird for me.
The first half of it is David Harbour in fucking Stranger Things. Like it is a worried father. Like we got to go. Yeah, now's the time. I'm a super serious man. And then we suddenly see him, and he kind of reminds me of the Russian guy that they steal out of jail in Mission Impossible. That's like, Ethan, or whatever. Like he's like that crazy dude.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's perfect.
So he's in jail. He's arm wrestling people. Eventually, he's telling a story about kicking Captain America's ass. Finally, the guy's like, when was he? He's like, I don't know, 82, 83. He was still in the ice. Breaks this dude's arm viciously. And then he gets the quality his packages. And so he goes and gets his mail. And it's, the guards or jerks, they're eating his tasty treat that he got. Instead, he just gets the rest of it. And one of them's an action figure. And so he starts fucking around with the action figure, and the head pops off. And inside of it's an earpiece. And he puts in the earpiece, and it's Black Widow. And she's like, make your way to the South Wall or whatever. Just don't be a dumbass about it. And he's immediately a dumbass about it. And it's awesome. And he grabs the guards through the glass, and he eats some of the sweet treat. And then he walks out. And then they're like, Red Guardian's escaping, and causes a huge prison riot. He walks outside. They've got a helicopter up there. They're like, just jump up here and like, we'll fucking get you out. So he starts doing some Captain America jumps, but he falls back down because like he gets shot or beat up or whatever. Something maybe it's the thing. Oh, that what it was. Yeah. He falls back down. So all hell's breaking loose. The Black Widow's like, fine, I'll go down there. Swing me around, do all this different stuff to Yelena. And so she's
real quick. I want to go back. Nick, what were you about to say?
Oh, I was gonna say some of the action here with like the editing was a little bit weird. So he busts through the window, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna steal his sweet treat back, and we never see him actually take the sweet treat. But then we see him chewing on something later. Yeah. We don't actually see the thing itself. So I'm like, I totally understand.
Carbs, so they just gonna do it because nobody's gonna mail you a carrot.
I'm sure he was. They were like, please put on 30 pounds for this, and he was like, cool, but I'm not gonna do it with carbs. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it pure protein. Like, no, we want carbs 30 pounds. We want peanut butter and jelly sandwich 30 pounds.
You want me to put on weight? I've seen the movie that you want me to get on the Hemsworth diet. That exercise,
no. So we want the opposite of that.
Yeah, I was interested because this scene to me, like as it was happening, I was like really conflicted, and it's a rare thing that this happens to me in a movie where I was like, I don't know if I like or dislike what's happening now.
Yeah,
and I can't really put my finger on either way. Where I was like, there was moments where I'm like, oh, this is kind of clever, and I like what they're doing. This feels right for the characters. And then there were other moments that felt the total opposite, where I'm like, this just seems like random and like they're not actually assigned to how this person would act in this scenario. But it kind of just kept going, and I was distracted long enough to move on. But I was interested in Nick having some thoughts on it because I definitely. It took me out of it enough to think about it watching the movie. Yeah. And I think this was the first time in the movie that had happened.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I think it starts off really fun and you get those quick back and forths over the radio. Like, don't be stupid. And they're like, oh, you're being stupid about this, aren't you? And that's fun to see David Harbour, this brute, just say, I'm going to brute force this. Who gives a shit? I'm not going to try to sneak out in any like secret way or whatever. And seeing that parkour, obviously, it's like really cool of him just using his strength and jumping up from platform to platform. But there wasn't like I much like you just said, Tim. I needed this to be a little bit more clever. I needed there to be something cool that happens with like a platform that's dropping and you hold on to that and it like launches you up or something. Like do something a little bit more than just. We need to escape the avalanche. I thought the avalanche was kind of a cool X factor that I wasn't expecting, but
totally.
I just wanted a little bit more from that.
I do love Florence Pugh's line where she's like, oh, that's a cool way to die.
Dude, I loved that. I loved every time that came up. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
When she's down on the operating table and she's like, this is not a cool way to die. Yeah. Like, that's awesome.
She has all the great lines in this movie. Whoever wrote that dialogue for her, like she nailed every single thing she said.
Well, that's the thing. Is like it's so clearly a setup to like make her the next shit. And like honestly, I like her already more than I've ever liked Natasha. With rare exception of moments in movies like Winter Soldier, she does have some moments. Like I really, really, really liked Florence Pugh's Black Widow.
I agree. I like them, but I like them. I think it's a nice handoff. I think it's great. I think all those the two of them had great scenes together. We're coming up on the scene, or did we pass it already? Where she talks about the posing. Did we already talk about that?
We haven't, but it probably is in one of the things I blew by. Yeah, it's in the little gas station in the daytime.
The gas station.
That was awesome.
Was like, that's so fucking such a fucking little sister thing to say to your older sister. What's with all the posing? It's like, people are looking at you the entire time. It's the kind of shit. You're a poser. That is the kind of shit I would have said to my brother if I was like, my brother's an Avenger and I'm not an Avenger.
And honestly, to the credit of this movie and the writing of this movie, like it worked. Even though we've seen this before, we've seen this joke in Deadpool, but I think that this did it well for character development. And it's like, that is the MCU difference in a lot of ways, where it's like a lot of the jokes and stuff and action scenes are, when they're best, paying off to enhance character. And they did that there.
Very true.
So we've kind of run around, right? They're trying to get him out of there. Then the copter starts getting shot. Yelena shoots a missile, blows up the thing. That's cool. Then it starts the avalanche. That's a cool way to die. At the last second, of course, she's flying the plane. The helicopter. Black Widow swings in, grabs the Red Guardian, and we're out of there. They get him into the ship. Huh?
It's Crimson Tide. Great.
Crimson Dynamo.
Whatever. I'm just fucking around. Sorry, let's keep it.
Why correct?
Just say whatever when he's wrong.
And it's not
just having fun. It's a joke, guys.
I love it.
Christ, I know.
Didn't you get the memo from the beginning? Andy wants a very serious interview today. All right, he doesn't want our shenanigans. You know what? He's Andy a substitute teacher, and he won't be pushed around today. All right,
Andy needs to take the stick out of his mud.
Jesus. I know you did it to try to be cleaner, but you made it dirty.
Somehow made it dirtier. Holy
I was gonna say I was trying to call back to earlier when Greg told Kevin to fuck his own ass or whatever it was.
Scratching his own ass, I said.
Okay. And no, I don't care about how professional we are. I just
everybody,
don't want
Mr. Cortez is talking. Sorry,
Here
Mr. Cortez is talking.
There it is. There it is.
Kevin,
Sorry,
do me a
guys.
favor. Go to Amazon.com and order him a tweed jacket that he can start fucking being Professor Cortez up on these interviews. All right? I'll wait.
I'm calling him Headmaster Cortez from now on.
Anyways, they get there, they bicker in the thing, they punch him in the face. We cover more ground here, right? That like he was a shitty dad, but it was like what this is, but he still likes them, yada yada yada. Then it's they kidnapped him to find out where the red room is. That's perfect. They find out where the red room is, and it turns out, of course, he's like, I don't know where the fucking red room is. You kidding me? The guy threw me out, didn't let me do what I wanted. I didn't want to be undercover anymore. I just wanted to be the Red Guardian. I could have rivaled Captain America. I could have been bigger than Captain America. But you know who did? Your fake ass mom. Rachel Weisz, she knows all about it. And they're like, what? She's still alive? And he's like, yeah, she lives out in a fucking farm or whatever. Let's go see her. And so it's over that way. And Yelena's like, we don't have enough gas to make it there. He's like, yeah, you do. She's like, all right. And then the next scene is the helicopter's falling from the sky. I loved that. I thought that was so fucking good. They get out. It's more about the family bonding here, right? Well, actually, I think it starts with him trying to get Natasha. He's like, go ahead, Yelena. And he's like, does he ever talk about me? She's like, who? Captain America. You know, I don't think of us as enemies, but you know, not my nemesis, but like, you know, whatever.
Contemporaries, you know?
Yeah.
So good.
Which is something interesting because I'll take you through past Greg and now current Greg. All right. Past Greg, when he gets called on, is watching this movie, he gets called on at the 83, 82 thing. That's fucking bullshit. And he breaks the guy's arm. And I'm like, cool, he was bullshitting. Then here he asks Captain America, or asks her about Captain America. And I was like, I don't fully understand this scene. Would Captain America know about him because Captain America's caught up on the past and thinks it's cool? Then live chat, when we mentioned this a little while ago, it said that they thought, Thomas Evans said the Captain America he fought was Isaiah Bradley. Did you get that interpretation from this? And then if we did get that interpretation from it, are we to believe that Red Guardian is so out of the loop he doesn't understand that the Captain America in Avengers is Steve Rogers and not Isaiah Bradley?
He's got to know because
I think he was just bullshitting.
That's a bad
because
take.
Isaiah Bradley, I don't think it was ever Captain America out there.
Yeah.
Like he was.
He would have been. That was like World
freed
War,
people
wasn't it?
and then got arrested.
But also
Yeah.
the fact that he knows Natasha is an Avenger, like he knows who the other Avengers are. Like the news gets.
So then, what is he? Why would Captain America talk about this guy then?
Because he's like in the sphere. It's like if there's another. If Ted Miller is out there trying to do what you're doing, like he wants Greg Miller to know that he's there. He wants to be a contemporary, but he's not. He's just a poser.
Ted Miller. I'd sort of like a Jeff Keighley or something. You go Ted Miller. I love it.
I couldn't rhyme anything with Greg. What rhymes with Greg?
The kind of funny
Greg,
brand of comedy.
Craig Miller.
Yeah,
That would have been great.
Craig would
That would have been great, Andy.
And more real of a name.
I do think it was real quick. I do think it was another wasted opportunity not be like, has Bucky ever talked about me? Because that I think would make a lot more sense that he like
Winter Soldier. That makes more sense. Yeah,
right
because he's like the other Russian soldier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who was me, but actually was effective. We also missed the scene here that I thought was poignant when they were talking about like what they had to go through with basically getting.
Reminder: it's a hysterectomy if you're going to be a woman from the Red Room. Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is terrifying.
Yeah, to the point that even he gets grossed out about it. I appreciated that. And then also in this at least in this walk of all of them to the farm, right? There's the conversation too where he grabs both their hands and is like, "You two have murdered more people than I have ever seen." Or whatever he says. There's so much red in your. I'm so proud of you. I was like, "That's awesome."
That's such a perfectly written like comedic moment for the whole family, and for them to just be like. For you as the viewer to be like, this is not normal. This is not what a family should be. And it's great. Like this whole moment is fantastic. And just kind of looking at her and be like, you're the #1 assassin in the world. Like he's so proud of her. But it's like, dude, they didn't want this life.
Yeah,
you know?
they're not.
#1 child assassin is what he was proud of her being.
That was cool. That's super cool.
I love this. I thought that was very funny. But like, and I would love for you guys to convince me otherwise on this because this is something that I'm bummed out about that I would like to be wrong about. But I feel like the biggest issue of this movie is that it doesn't make her sacrifice feel more important. Like it doesn't give more relevance to her doing what she did. And I feel like that is such a missed opportunity, especially given the timeline where this was, which is not long. I mean, I guess there was the 5-year gap, but like pre-Infinity War, it's like we're talking just a couple years, if even, between Civil War and Infinity War. And it's like I would have liked to see something that like she learned, or something that she kind of like grew with, to be like, you know what, I've done a lot of bad, or I've done this or whatever, but what I need to do this for the greater good, because we know how it ends. We know she does that. So it's like, if you're going to talk about a fucking vest, I'd like to see some character development that gets us to that sacrifice instead of Hawkeye or whatever.
I'm with you in the way that I love this movie and I think it's great and I like all the characters in it. I definitely think, especially with this lens we're talking about right now, it is very much Yelena's movie, right? In terms of giving her something,
more
her family's
story.
Realizing, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. At the end, what the best you get is Black Widow being like, I have 2 families and they're both kind of fucked up, but I, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but like, I already loved you and this didn't add more to that, right? I think it could have been interesting if they had totally swerved us, and first half to third of the movie is everything we're talking about right now and going through, and then the other half is in that 5-year period. It is a mission they all had to go out on and do something together, right? That was like building up to, I have no idea, but making it see. When I finish this movie and they do the after credits scene of her at the grave, right? I'm not mourning Natasha more. I'm now grieving alongside. I'm actually not even grieving. I'm feeling sorry for Yelena, right? I'm seeing Yelena having this chance ripped away from her, which is probably the whole actual point of the picture. But I'm with you, Tim.
It's weird though. Throughout this whole movie, I think if we were to have sort of one of these type of movies for Tony Stark, I would have felt a lot more emotional. But throughout all of this, I just kind of had this moment of during the final Red Room sequence where they are finally escaping the gigantic Red Room airship. And I was like, oh, Scarlett Johansson, like, I kind of forgot you die and I don't really care. And that kind of sucks.
That's so weird to me, because I thought I couldn't disagree with you guys more. Like, I think that her death scene was one of the most poignant in all of Endgame, having just watched it a few weeks back. And this to me felt more like, hey, we're going to go back and tell a little bit of an origin story, and a cool just one-off like a kind of scenario of her going back into action one more time as a secret agent. So I don't know. I liked all that stuff. I thought that stuff worked.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I cried like a lot in that scene in Endgame, but for some reason it just, I don't know. I just had this sort of realization during this movie that, oh, you don't live past Endgame, and it didn't really matter a whole lot to me, and it probably should have. And this movie just sort of feels like, at this point, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me, and I don't know if it will at the end of the day. I don't know if I will watch this movie again unless we have to do another sort of in-review,
Well, remember, Andy, we're doing our own MCU in-review, re-review.
Re-review, that's right.
Her goodbye in Endgame was Hulk and Clint standing on the dock and just kind of being like, oh yeah, Black Widow too. And then they just moved on. It's like the moment was so poignant in Endgame when she sacrifices herself. But like the reminiscing and look back and like the importance of Black Widow, I think they really dropped the ball on, and this was their chance to make up for it.
Well, we got a little bit of it at the end here, like her kind of literally like walking away and being like, I got to go help some of my friends. They're fighting right now, or whatever it was. And she kind of gets onto the Quinjet or whatever it is. I thought that was kind of poignant, but yeah.
Anyways, though, so let's pick up the pace. So they finish their walk and all the conversation we're talking about. They get to Rachel Weisz's house. Rachel Weisz excited enough to see them. Let's have dinner. Let's have some vodka. She gives Red Guardian his suit. He goes in there. We get a funny scene of him squeezing into it. Meanwhile, we get more mother, daughter stuff out there, and they're bickering a little bit. Then he comes back, he sits down, then it's the family reunited, and it's more bickering about if they were a family or not a family, and they're going back again. You get all the family dynamics.
Before that, he's like, I've been in prison for a really long. He's like, he gives her a good.
This is during the conversation, and it's great. When
immediately starts flirting with her. He's like, you have not aged a bit, and she's like, oh, you're still looking pretty good too. And he's like, I've been in prison for a long time. I have a lot of. And energy. He looks at there, he's like, energy.
Yeah, they're like, it's them both really gross.
I like the scene because I think that the subtext of the scene is that they went beyond the mission. They were a family. They actually did care about each other. He was attracted to Melina and her back to him of like for all of his good assets, and they were sisters, and they fight like a real family. And so no matter how much they want to deny it and how much they're about to deny it in this upcoming scene where they get it's in the subtext of it, and I think that's good.
Yeah, so
There's
it gets
also
into
the
next.
moment.
We've had 25 movies telling us that she never had a family before. So then it does come off a little bit weird that now she clearly does have a real family.
Well, yeah,
It's all
but
part of
that,
the
but
mission.
that's, but yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think that this movie is in part her realizing that those 3 years were like real and not like real enough that she should
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
care
point.
about them.
Good
You know what
point.
I mean?
reconciliation. Because like I would agree with you, Tim, but this happens right before what? Civil War, or happens right before?
And it happens right.
After
It's
Civil
in
War.
between Civil War the movie and Civil War the post credits.
So it's conceivable that this is when she realized, like, actually, you know,
Yeah.
I do have two families, which is what
I think
she
that's
says in this movie.
it is right because it's a choice they have to make, and that's what Yelena's all about, right? Like when Yelena's like, you know, it was real to me, and you all lied about it, right? She's not saying you lied and convinced me as a child that you were my parents, right? Because there's a photo shoot that's completely fake to fake a bunch of holidays. Like that's
Right.
not. I don't. Maybe they lied to her and said it was real, but I think what she really means is I believed, even though we were lying about who we were, that we were a family. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it'd be like how we always tell, hey, Kevin, your family here, kind of funny. And then one day we're just like, you know what, Kevin? It was all untrue. All your paychecks bounced. Ha ha ha. Like, that would be that would be the turn, right, Kevin?
Kevin's
Don't
like,
check your bank.
They're already in my they're already in my bank account.
Don't
Already
check your bank account. But that would be the thing, right? And like, so it's the same idea here of like, it was real. It was real to her, damn it. You know what I mean? It was that pro wrestling guy. She bought into it being fake, but she also bought into it being real at the same time. Anyways. And that's what she's trying to convince everybody else through the motion picture, and eventually it will be. Anyways, in the middle of all this, right, they're talking back and forth about what actually is going on, and the lady from the Mummy's like, listen, I'm, been fucking training these pigs, and she's like, let me show you what's up, and they bring in a pig, and she's like, it's a mind control thing that you can do whatever you want to, and we've been sending it out into the crowd and testing it on people and all this other shit, and I named the pig Alexi. He's like, that's my name. He's like, ha. You don't see the resemblance, and it's funny.
Oh, it's funny.
And she makes the pig stop breathing, and this is where she pisses off Yelena, because of course Yelena is the one that was being tested on or whatever. And so it's like, oh no, this fucking sucks. And so,
I hated it. It was scary. It was scary.
Exactly.
Greg.
Let the poor piggy, let him breathe.
Like I really thought they were just gonna let that pig fucking die.
What were those things hanging off of the pig? That made me uncomfortable the whole time.
Pig balls.
Like choose a better pig,
Yeah.
But that was the joke, because it doesn't, it reminds her of Alexi, right?
Yeah, he's got a beard.
He's ugly.
And big balls hanging off of his chin.
Anyways, so now we get, so Yelena stomps off to her room mad. It was real to me, damn it. Red Guardian's like, I'll go talk to her. He goes in there. The woman from the Mummy and Black Widow, they go over to the bookshelf. She's like, I didn't keep anything. Didn't mean anything to me. Why'd you keep this? And this is where they page through the photo album, right? And they're like, hey, like these, I remember when we took these, we did all the fucking holidays in one day, you know what I mean? And even though the presents were fake, it was still real to me, damn it. That's the whole message here, right? Give that guy a fucking paycheck.
Oh, yeah. He deserves one, honestly, Greg, with the amount of times they literally use like that line.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the bedroom, Yelena over there and Red Guardian, he's trying to connect with her. She doesn't want to hear it, but eventually he starts singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie to her. And that was her song from the tape earlier, right? Or whatever. That's a very sweet moment, very cute. They kind of have that thing. Then we jump back over to Rachel Weisz and Scarlett Johansson. And it feels like Black Widow finally breaks through to Rachel Weisz. And she's like, how did you keep your heart or whatever? And then, she's just like, I had to, or whatever the fuck she says. And then she's like, man, I wish, we could have done this earlier or whatever, but like I call them, they're going to be here in like 10 minutes. She's like, oh no. And so this is now where the shit hits the fan, right? And we don't know exactly what's happening. We go back into the bedroom. This is probably where they sing the song. Doesn't matter. Then it's like, poof, poof, poof. There's like lights and like crazy Quinjets coming in, but they're not Quinjets. Yes, Kevin Coelho from Kind of Funny.
She answered the how did you keep your heart thing, right? Like, is that where this happens?
She said. I think it was, because I think that was the turn, right? Where she was like,
pain.
Yeah, she said that pain makes you stronger. And then that was the moment where Rachel Weisz was like, fuck.
I don't know why that moment hit real hard. When I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's so cool.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good moment.
So, lights up the entire house, right? Red Guardian looks out the window. He's like, it's time for a fight or whatever. And they shoot him with one dart. And he's like, haha, they thought. And then like 15 more darts come in. And he topples over. Like, that's fucking great, right?
Very, very, like, it was a very Jim Carrey style comedy moment.
So it worked totally for me.
It was awesome.
An idiot.
Yeah. They come in and invade, right? And they zap Elena and she goes down, and then Scarlett Johansson's already down, and then Rachel Weisz is like, we did it. let's go to the Red Room. And so they pile into a plane and they're flying, and the Red Guardian wakes up and he's like, Rachel Weisz from the Mummy, why are you doing this or whatever? And she's like, it was always a fucking mission. This is why they couldn't find it, where it's not on the ground, it's in the sky.
It's above Ohio.
It's like a Columbia City here
above
from
the
Bioshock
radar.
Infinite. Above the radar. Yeah.
Dude, really cool. Like, that's such a cool Metal Gear Solid style moment. I loved that shit. That was dope as hell.
Yo, good call, Andy. Like, this movie had multiple moments. I'm like, yo, I hope we get a good Metal Gear movie one day. Like, even just the Arctic outfit she has, the white version for a while. It's like, this is
Tim.
fucking...
That is the most fucking Batman ass shit ever, where he's like, I'm going to the fucking Arctic. I get the white bat costume out. I loved it so much when she pulled it out.
Also, shout out to them, like, because I was a little like, it's interesting they're gonna end Black Widow's career in a different outfit, and like them doing the face mask thing to her end up in the Black Widow. I'm like, yo, that was actually really good.
I love it. Every time we have a big Black Widow moment, she has the mask thing on. Like, I feel like every big moment's always like,
You mentioned the white costume and all that, sort of reminding you of MGS. When they are walking by all of the Black Widows training with the guns. Like, it reminds me of just every time, Kojima does one of his like really shaky cam type animated moments, and like all the soldiers
Boss on the floor.
Like, it's so cool, dude. I love Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything you just said happens, right? We're in the Red Room now. Rachel Weisz is like high-fiving people in the hallway, nodding at the other widows, like, I fucking crushed this. I'm the king. You know what I mean? And so she walks into Draco Malfoy's room. And he like, it was mentioned way earlier, what an actor this guy is. You know what I mean? Just fucking crushing it. I wish I would have had more of this guy in this motion picture. This is great.
You ever watched The Departed, Greg?
I did watch The Departed. Yeah, I got distracted by Alec Baldwin being sweaty and bumping into things.
Just keeps bumping into everything.
I wanted you to be on my side.
Yeah, don't be on Nick's side of this.
Look at your company.
I don't remember The Departed well, but I remember enjoying it at the time.
Keeps pulling his pants up, keeps bumping into the side of the cargo container.
So yeah, multiple planes of action, right? The Guardian's thrown in a cell downstairs. Yelena's getting the old magic marker to her head. They're gonna go in there and do brain surgery on her. This Draco Malfoy talks a little bit about this up there. Scarlett Johansson, you think, is down next to Red Guardian, but it turned out it won't be her, because up there, right, they start sounding off, yelling at each other, Draco Malfoy and Rachel Weisz from the Mummy, and eventually he's like, if you raised a child from birth or some shit, you look in her eyes, you would know who it is. And so he goes to touch her, and then she stops her, and then he peels it off, and it was Scarlett Johansson. It was the Black Widow all along, right? Oh, cool. And so like, he's like, what was your fucking plan? You're going to come up here and kill me or whatever? Like, why don't go ahead right now or whatever? And she busts out the gun. She can't pull the trigger. And he takes the gun and she busts out the knife, or he gives her the knife or whatever. And then she can't stab him with the knife. She's like, what's going on? And he's like, I got pheromones, baby. And this is very Metal Gear, right?
Oh, yeah. But I wish this was a little bit more like, no, you've been conditioned since a child not to hurt me or something.
That's what I would have thought too. I thought that's what we were going to end up with.
We had a little, suddenly a moment of happening was going on. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Remember the movie
this was
Suicide.
Oh yeah,
Pheromones.
Yeah,
John
like I again,
really sad.
This is where I expected, like, the pheromones. If you smell me, you fucking can't do it. And then, all right, well, I'll break my nose. Oh yeah, well, my backup plan is if you're looking at me, you can't kill me. Like, I just like I kind of just expect, like, an escalation of dumb shit to happen.
Yeah, it was dumb, and I feel like it could have given her sister or Melina something more important to do while she was monologuing with him, right? Like, hey, you have to get to the machine that shuts off the thing that deconditions my brain that will allow me to kill this guy. We have to work together. So instead of having the two planes of action be Melina kind of slowly walks through the giant fan room and then shoots a grenade up to it. And granted, I laughed out loud when they just had that random insert shot of her clearly on a green screen, which is like, okay, we got to keep moving here, and just says it very casually. But her having to snap her own nose, I'm like, I don't know if that's how that works, but cool.
It's cool enough, right? It was more the thing of, this is your plan. Like, how do you know they're not going to, bop Yelena way quicker? Like, you know what I mean? We're not communicating with her that much. Doesn't matter. Anyways, we also get some weird flashbacks here to when they're developing the plan. Yeah, Cap, what do you got?
One more thing about when it's revealed that Yelena has an ear piece in her ear, and like all three of them are talking, and then the
little
Crimson
sooner.
Dynamo is like, "Oh wait, hold on, let me talk to you guys with mine," and it's like he doesn't have one. I thought that was the humor on that was just 10 out of 10.
I like that a lot too. Yeah, I like
this-
this whole section where him trying to convince stuff.
That was great, but this whole moment with like all the pheromones, everything we're talking about, but like her breaking her nose and all of it, like this to me was another moment where I'm like, oh, you think you're Mission Impossible right now, and
Yep.
you're not. Like you're just not on that level at all. They fucking nail it. They are so clever with what they're doing, and it always when things happen, you're like, fuck, that was cool, and I never saw it coming. With this, it's like, what just happened? That's a little weird.
It's weird.
So
It's like, okay, I
right,
guess
yeah.
it makes sense, but it's not that cool.
Right before she breaks her nose, it's a one shot of her face, like her talking to him, and it kind of looks like she's got a little bit of blood right on her nostril. And I thought it was going to be revealed that they had already gone in there and like cut something,
Surgically done something.
So she was like faking
that's the thing,
it.
it's like, you got a little time. Can we come up with a different plan that doesn't involve me slamming my face onto the desk in front of this guy? I thought it was going to be like,
the plan was that he would do it, but he punches like a wuss.
Because the
What
other
if
thing
it
was
doesn't
this,
work?
that like she has that great classic Scarlet or Black Widow moment where she's feigning vulnerability so that he'll tell her the entire
Thank you for
plan.
your cooperation.
And then she says, "Thank you for your cooperation." Right? So I thought it was going to be like, I'm like, what is the reveal going to be here? Like
Totally.
she's just, and it wasn't. It just kind of wasn't that great.
I thought the
but-
reveal, was going to be that they'd already done it and that she had, like, she couldn't shoot even though she wanted to, but she was just faking it, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Puts a couple in his fucking thighs, watches him bleed out, watches the light from his eyes just fucking disappear.
Because that's like the moment where they're trying to get Robert Redford to say the whole plan, and then she reveals, "Hey, I'm Scarlet Widow. You just talked to everybody here on this raft or whatever." I wanted that to be a cool moment. It just was not.
It just didn't work.
Instead, all that stuff we just talked about happens. They reveal, they do the thing, a lot of flashbacks to why they did and how they did it, and then a lot of yelling at the guy who's a good actor, and then the guy who's a good actor reveals Taskmaster is his daughter, and then he's like, "You didn't kill her." Also, did anybody care about like the whole like what was this whole turn for Scarlett? God damn it, Scarlett Johansson's or Black Widow's mom of like
Rachel Weisz?
I was taken, but she always came back for you. What was her name? Unknown. Like, why do we put this in here?
Her mom got it.
I think
I think it's just closure. I think it's just closure for her.
Sucked.
She's buried
I'm
under
with
a
you,
tree
Greg.
with pink lilies. I was like, oh, we're gonna get there by the end of the movie. No, okay, whatever.
I think it was just like to dig the knife deeper. I thought it was just one of those moments where, like, like in The Last Jedi, who's your family? If you don't have a family, whatever. I thought this was just him being a dick or whatever.
It was her.
It was Palpatine. Yeah, it turns out it was
Big thing, bro. Yeah.
Fuck you, Last Jedi.
But yeah, I really think that was just him wanting to be as evil as possible. Like, here I am, kind of finally going to tell you, nope, tricked your ass. I'm a great actor. My name is Ray Winston. What's his name?
Daddy?
My name is this. What's his name?
And he should have committed to it. I would have believed it.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Winston.
Anyway, everything we've just said has happened, right? She breaks her nose. That gets her free. Meanwhile, Taskmaster is fighting Red Guardian. Meanwhile, Yelena is on the prowl beating people up.
Interesting. Mark Freeman in the chat says Red Skull says her name.
Yeah.
Remember?
Her father's name, remember? Yeah.
Father and mother, no? No?
Yeah, you're right. Well,
Yeah.
but isn't it that she calls out her father's name, right? Oh, that guy knew your daddy's name, Big D. That guy knew your daddy's name, Big D. She's like, I didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
interesting.
You're right.
I didn't realize
cool.
that. That's actually
No, yeah, that's
cool.
kind of cool, yeah.
But yeah, it sucks that I don't know either of their names. Doesn't matter. They're fucking fighting. Rachel Weisz is trying to fucking take off the engines. Old departed actor guy. He's like, not the chance, man. Like, I fucking planned for this too. Beep boop 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 beep boop, and he does his little shit with his fucking thing, and he shows his giant web of it, and nothing's crashing, and nothing doing this, and does all right, cool. And this is where she breaks her nose so she can fuck his shit up. And so then he calls in the widows, right? And like they're all over the place, and they're like, listen, he's like leaving. He's like, kill her and make it painful or torture or something like that. Make her suffer, something like that. Taskmaster's beating the shit out of Red Guardian. Rachel Weisz she crawls into a heating vent or some kind of vent at that point. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, events are always safe. Just get in them, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're always huge, too.
And so yeah, that's what happens, right? Yeah. So they all come in, they start beating the shit out of Black Widow, right? Yelena gets there, she throws the bomb with the red stuff, clears all their minds. What should we do? Whatever you want, you free or whatever. Rachel Weisz from the Mummy, she is like, well, I got to take this thing off, line myself. These engines. They surround her, and they're like, something. They do some kind of superhero-y talk here, right? Where it's like, put your hands up, put the thing up, or whatever. And she's like, just what I was thinking. All the shit falls into the turbines. The turbine's done. The thing starts falling. Everything's going to hell. Everything's breaking down. Everybody starts running. Red Guardian, Taskmaster breaks away. This is a lot of action here. This is the action. This is
So cool.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Oh, wait. Actually, I kind of spaced out. Are we already at the free fall
you're
moment?
jumping forward. This is like Taskmaster goes after Scarlett Johansson, and then the Red Guardian at that moment fights her, but we don't see any of the fight. They like cut away after one push, and then it cuts back, and he's like kind of getting beaten up. I think
He's getting his ass whooped. Yeah.
Taskmaster gets shoved in the cell at some point.
Yeah, and they close the door on him. Rachel Weisz locks him in.
Okay. And so Rachel and Red Guardian, they get in a plane. She's like, and he's like, "Where are the girls?" She's like, "I don't know." Everything falls, the plane falls, but like it's a controlled fall. Then you got people flying through the air. Then everything's blowing up. People are falling all over the place. Huh?
Some random guard like goes to attack them. They beat the guard, but his body.
But he takes off the back thing and they spin. Yeah, they spin out.
I guess that was to take them out of commission, so they couldn't rescue the girls. Got it.
Right.
And then we get Francis Pugh.
Natasha runs into Taskmaster.
Is that her name?
Francis Pugh.
Good old
Francis Pugh.
It's close, right?
Close enough. First letter, same, yeah.
Yeah. But like that's where she does the pokey thing in the bad guy's ship. Where she's like, this is a dope way to die. And it's like, it is. But you're not dying today, my guy.
Right. Before then, though, Natasha gets Taskmaster out, says we're going to fight, but we don't have to fight kind of thing, but they have to fight eventually. But they get separated before they can actually fight. Then, she runs over and sees Draco Malfoy about to leave. So Yelena does the thing of like, this is a cool way to die. Shoves it in there, gets blown back. Don't do it. Natasha grabs the parachute that was conveniently placed. She jumps out. She flies down. She grabs her, puts her in the parachute. While they're parachuting down together, that's when Taskmaster starts beelining for them with sword drawn.
It was conveniently placed, but it was also in like a plane that she jumps through. Like I don't know if it was conveniently placed or that's where they keep parachutes.
I mean, it's on an air thing. It makes sense why there's a parachute around. I'm just calling it out. Now they're flying. This is where we get them fighting on the side, right? Andy, this is what you want to talk about? They're like on like.
I mean, it's just so dope because I love this whole sort of free fall. We're worried about. Is she going to get to Florence Pugh in time? This is like really nerve-wracking. Holy shit. She just went for it, grabs her, and they turn back, and Taskmaster is just a master of her task and is just staying on it and is like, look, I'm still on the clock, Andy. Dog. I'm still on the fucking clock. I'm getting paid for this, so I'm still coming after you. And it is horrifying. It's similar to like in any of the Jason fucking Friday the 13th movies where they're still coming after you and just seeing Taskmaster just diving through like, all right, here we go. And you get that dope ass platform moment, sticking the blade in the platform and kicking her off. Like, it's just, I needed this to be longer because it was so fucking cool on a big screen with all of the sound just going buck wild. It was an absolute blast to watch.
In that fall, a moment that I really liked was, like she puts the harness and parachute on her sister and then looks back and realizes, oh, fucking Taskmaster's coming and he's coming for me or she's coming for me. So kicks her off and pulls the thing and is like, all right, well, you're going to land hopefully safe and I'm going to just free fall and get rid of Taskmaster as an issue.
She's like,
I thought that was so
she's like, don't worry, I'll land on the hood of a car. I'll be fine.
Luckily, Taskmaster's daddy built in a parachute, just like Tony Stark built into Spider-Man's outfit, so he's fine. That's how they get to the ground. They brawl for a while. Eventually, Natasha won't fight back. She's not actually keeps putting up her hands, but it doesn't work. But she's able to do some quick, sick Hurricane Ranas and open up Taskmaster's helmet. And then she gets one of the red vials out. And then when Taskmaster's coming in for the kill, she does a superhero landing pose, smashes it. Taskmaster smells it and is like, oh, and she comes back and she's like, is he stopped or whatever? Real quick, I want to point this out too. Over in the live chat, Arturo182 confirms what I was saying. Natasha, daughter of Ivan, Clint, son of Edith. So he doesn't name her mom. He only names the dad.
It's all dumb.
Was talking about.
Stupid. This fucking universe doesn't make
exactly
any sense.
Super stupid. I was right. Everybody's stupid. So now that that's cleaned up, the rest of the family lands and they're like, hey, good job, taking on Taskmaster. And she's like,
Pretty
yeah,
good.
don't worry about it. I called William Hurt, called his ass over here so he could do all this and take
No
this shit
reason to
down.
do
That
that.
was the original plan.
I feel like no
That was
reason
the
to do
original
that. You know what I mean?
Well, remember, that was the original plan, right?
Yeah.
They were going to take the things offline, bring it down, and then he would come and he would stop the Red Room. The Red Room would be stopped forever.
Right.
See, Kevin, sometimes it's about sacrificing for something larger than
they
yourself.
blew up the Red Room, so they stopped it.
I mean, they had to, the plan had to change. The plan
Should
had to
have been a
change
backup plan. Is all I'm saying. Should have been a backup plan.
Hey, man,
All of us
but
would
instead
just
we'll
take our hands out of our asses right now.
Real talk though, this is the point of the movie, really. It's like the action scene before it. I'm with Andy. I wish we got more because it was a cool setup, but it kind of didn't deliver what I wanted. I wanted more. But it's around here where it's kind of just, they were like, all right, where did the pieces fall after this giant fall?
Yep.
How do we pick them up together to end the movie? And like, that kind of sucks.
So the family comes back together, and this is where Natasha tells Yelena, "Hey, it was real to me too. We are a family, or whatever, right?" And then mom and dad show up, and even though he tried a million times, she's like, "You have something to say, Redguard?" And he's like, "I'll only mess it up." He holds hands with Natasha. Then Shield shows up, and he's like, or whatever. The William Hurt shows up, and she's like, "You guys get out of here. I'll take it." Like, no, you'll go to jail. The Sokovia Accords, right? There was a whole song about it, and she's like, "No, don't worry about it. Like, I'm cool, and it's about something bigger than me. So you can get out of here, family. You guys go be family on the run, and I got this shit or whatever." And she's like, "I got another family, and if I could save this family, maybe I can save up that other family that they're fucked up too." And Yelena's like, "Yeah, you know what? You could, but my vest will help. It's got so many pockets." And she gives her the vest, and that's
I love that. I thought it was funny.
Hilarious.
I
So good.
also want to give a shout out to the funniest part of this whole movie, the best comedic beat, where she goes, "How are you two doing?" And Melina is clearly injured, and she goes, "I am clearly injured."
Her delivery is so good.
I am
Rachel
clearly
Weisz, a
injured.
treasure. Rachel Weisz, a
Fucking
treasure.
national treasure. We gotta make her one of ours. We
Another
can't.
one of the
These
British
UK people
people,
that
yeah.
have too many good people. They have too
Is
many good
Daniel
people.
Craig also British?
Yeah.
Wow.
So as William Hurt and his SUVs drive 19 miles across this football field, the Black Widows land, and they're like, "Hey, do you guys want to come with us?" And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds like
We
a
don't
great
speak
idea."
English. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry. Did you all get that same vibe? I had that same vibe. I had that vibe. Like even when they're back on the when they're back in the red room and they're
They all
like,
speak English.
"What? What?"
They all speak English.
Yeah, but like it was just funny for them to like speak in Russian and Natasha to be like, "Go where your fucking heart leads you," or whatever, and be like, "What the fuck did she say?" I don't know. It's like, I don't...
She apparently gets apprehended by William Hurt, but guess what? Ain't no thing for Natasha Romanoff. She's out in 2 weeks, and it's her meeting back up with Handmaid's Tale guy who's British, and she's got blonde hair now, and she wears the vest, and this is her Infinity War outfit, right? That I totally forgot about until we talked about it in this interview. And then she's like, "There's a plane that is the plane that all the guys."
Greg.
Totally.
That sucks. Thank you.
I mean,
a steward of In Review, a steward of the plot of
So
the
much for the
Marvel
best.
Cinematic Universe, and it's like even this whole thing. It took you till this moment. They beat you over the head, and you still
not
didn't get
this
it?
moment, earlier in the review when you guys mentioned it, but yeah.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. When you watch the movie, you didn't get it.
No, and when this moment happened and she passed it off, Jen's like, "Oh, is this a vest we're supposed to remember from the other movies?" And I'm like, "I guess so."
See,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't,
had the same thing.
see, I never got the vest thing as being as relevant or important, like emotionally, as the dice from Last Jedi. Like that felt like they were trying to make that a thing. This just felt like a cute little like Easter egg. Like, we don't need to make this a thing, but we're gonna
What
make
are
it a
you
thing.
talking about? They literally there are multiple lines of dialogue throughout this movie about the vest. Granted,
Yeah,
funny
but it's
dialogue,
a joke.
good
Like you
dialogue.
but Scarlett doesn't like the vest. That's
But
why
she wears
it's funny.
it in Infinity War.
Yes,
Yeah,
She wears it
like-
for the whole movie.
Yeah, because her sister gave it to her, and that's what makes
because
it
this movie was written
important.
that way to make that happen.
Yeah, but I don't think they're trying to be like, by the way, like this vest is going to be. I thought it was.
I think it was.
To me, it was not as important as you guys are all making it out to be. I thought it was just a fun, like goof, like a joke. Like I'll
What's
wear
the
the
difference
vest.
with the dice? Like it's the same thing.
The dice had
The dice
zero
are
setup,
dumb.
and they fucking literally put it in the hands of Leia before he died. And they were like, "This is a thing," and people were like, "It's not a thing. It's not a thing."
You got him, Nick.
I'm
That's
with-
it. Check.
I'm with Tim on this. I thought just in those initial sequences that it was just a funny goof, and then at the end went, okay.
See, to me, I don't think they meant it as people are going to really dig this vest. I think they were just like, it'll be a funny through line between these that tie these two movies together.
Yeah.
That's all. I think you guys are reading way too much into this vest sequence. I think it's totally something that you would do where you're like, you hate this thing that your brother has. And then eventually, because you guys bonded that one fucking weekend, you're like, you know what? I'm going to wear the Metallica t-shirt. I don't like the Metallica t-shirt, but I'm going to wear the Metallica t-shirt. And it takes on its own special meaning.
It's Kevin and Spencer with the Death Angel shirt.
Exactly,
That's my
Andy.
uncle. It's my Uncle Paul.
Tim,
all right.
Imagine if the Death Angel shirt had a lot of pockets and was just a little too big.
The vest that existed before, it would have made sense. But like for a movie that they literally just made to fit in a hole before the next sequence, which is Infinity War, where she wears this vest for the first time, it's like, all right, it's just like the dice where we never saw them in the old movies, and then all of a sudden they're here.
But like the thing is, the dice is put like in your face. Like Nick is right. Like
unlike the vest where they're like,
oh,
look, I bought a vest for the first time, and I'm gonna make jokes about
I've been
it.
quiet about
Retroactively
this.
is fine.
I've been quiet about this. May I have the floor? All right.
I wasn't done.
The vest
Greg.
thing again. It happens here, and Jen's like, "Oh, this is. Did she wear this?" And the other, and I'm thinking of Endgame, and I'm like, I don't. Anyways, to sit here and say the vest is not put in your face, I cannot abide by this. I'm with Tim on this 100%.
I don't.
Where there's
think
the
they
conversation.
wanted-
It's got so many pockets you don't know about. Where I was like, oh, that's going to be important
funny.
later.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but
they were
that's the
just
thing,
she was
like-
joking around because she was like, "It's an ugly fucking vest."
Oh,
And she's
I
like,
know
"Yeah,
it's
got
not, Nick. I'm saying as a person who didn't remember the vest being in Infinity War, when you say that, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be
See,
a plot
that's-
point.
that's
Not that, oh, this is just a reference to the fucking vest that's gonna be in the next movie.
Like that's the thing. Like
Andy Cortez. I'm sorry,
don't-
Professor Andy Cortez
But
is here
you
to
cut
rule.
me off earlier, Greg. You cut me off earlier.
Yeah, you
You did
talk
cut
all
him
the
off
time.
earlier.
Yak.
And we all talk. Put the
Kevin's
thing
on my
up,
side,
Andy.
so let him talk.
Enough with the discourse. Nick, it's okay that the James Bond car got upgrades, okay? It's okay that the Aston Martin had a rocket launcher installed, all right? You don't have to worry about it that
Show
much.
me
But
one other movie in the James Bond franchises where that would make sense in. Everything is so grounded, and all of a sudden, you know what? I don't care. I don't care anymore about this.
I think
I
a
mean,
giant
my point is-
laser shoots out of the sky in one of those movies.
That is not the Daniel Craig Bond franchise. That is the Pierce Brosnan Bond franchise, and that's where they had an invisible
Better
car.
franchise.
All I'm saying is, like, I think they wanted the dice to be like a very much an emotional beat, and in this, I don't think that's what they were going for. I think it was more of a joke.
Yeah.
That was like, hey, by the way, it's a fun Easter egg that's going to be put through. I don't think
And
they
she
meant
wears
for
it
you.
because they're sisters, and she's like, "I love you." That's why she wears it to continue in Infinity War.
Yeah,
So
but
it's an
it was
emotional beat.
fun.
The
It was
same
Yeah, but
thing.
the dice are supposed to
It
be like
was fun.
thematic.
I started
The
this
dice are
whole
like
thing saying,
thematic.
guys, that this works better than Star Wars. It does.
I don't think they meant for it to be like when the Star Wars people wrote that dice in there, they were trying to make something like thematically important to the overarching series of all of fucking
100%.
Star Wars.
With
This they were
Solo,
like,
a terrible movie.
this will be a funny little Easter egg for everyone, and no one will ever
Andy.
think about this ever again.
I feel like me and Tim are on crazy pills, all right? The definition of an Easter egg is the Thanos copter in the back. And Loki doesn't stop and go, why is this Thanos copter here? This is
I'm not.
weird,
I'm
huh?
not.
All right, back to the plot. See,
We're
like,
not arguing with the Easter egg thing. The fact that it's more prevalent than a Thanos copter. Kevin and I are arguing that this is an insignificant thing overall
it's not.
in the
This
movie.
is a
It's
thematic moment
No.
where there's an entire
reading
scene of
way
her
too
with
much into
blonde
this.
hair and the vest walking to signify she is now real sisters with Yelena. And they have that moment in
no,
this
that
movie
was to signify. Oh, this is what she was
I think
wearing in
that's-
Infinity War.
See, I think that when they wanted to signify
Time
that they're
has
real
passed.
sisters is literally the part where they said, you know what, we're really fucking sisters.
They
The
said
vest is just a silly, just a thing. I don't. You
It's
guys
a
are.
fun, it's a fun
we're all
thing
getting
that
too
makes
hyped
it
up on
more
it. Yeah.
connected. It's a fun
Yeah,
thing
I
that makes it
agree.
more connected that I think is well done. Unlike Tim, who says it's equal to Star Wars thing.
Yeah, Tim loved the last.
So she calls fucking Handmaid's Tale husband a friend, and
Look
she
at
gets
Greg's
in the
hair.
cool jet, and she's gonna go break some guys out of prison, which of course is the Easter egg we had. So she's gonna pick up Steve, and they're gonna go save Scott and Anthony Mackie and Bucky from the raft or whatever, and that's fun and that's cool.
This is why I
and
love
then-
this fucking podcast. I'm going to be late to a fight because I needed to argue with Tim over the thematic importance of a fucking vest that I will never
The
think about
comments
again.
will speak for themselves. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
they're
going to
be
say.
50-50 and they're going to
I've
rage
never
at both of
listened
us.
to
It's gonna
those
be okay.
idiots down there.
Credits roll, and we sit for a long time before we get the post-credit scene, which is, of course, Yelena tending to Black Widow's grave, which has a whole bunch of stuff on it, and then she does the whistle, and you hold out hope. Is it going to be a whistle? And instead, it's a nose blow, which I thought was going to be Red Guardian because I'd forgotten about the Julia Louis-Dreyfus news from years ago or whatever, and it's instead her, and she comes up and she's like, I thought it was going to be, listen, do you want to join whatever they're calling the initiative or whatever? But instead, she's already part of the initiative.
Already in.
And she's got a mission for, why don't you go kill the man who's responsible for your sister's death, who just so happens to be Hawkeye.
Or
Make him wear the vest.
She
She's going to
doesn't
make
say
him wear the
kill.
vest.
She says your next target.
Ooh, you think
So-
she's bringing him in?
I'm just saying, watching that, the way they did it and the way they showed it, they're clearly getting a team of assassins together, right?
Yeah.
They're clearly getting people that can covertly kill. And we see Hawkeye in his Ronin outfit there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just saying, maybe it's another recruit for the team they're trying to get.
What do you know? I know we talked about this during Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Wrong.
I'm sorry, I don't remember. What is the team she would be recruiting for?
So that's where this gets interesting on MCU theory shit, where it's like, it's not clearly the Thunderbolts, it's not clearly the Dark Avengers, but it's some type of MCU version of the two of those things that they're building towards. And I'm stoked.
Kevin and I had the discussion right when the movie ended of because we're standing there with Paula, and we are explaining to Paula how when Julia Louis-Dreyfus pops up in Falcon Winter Soldier, all of
She
us are
hasn't seen it.
confused. What the hell? Why is Elaine here? This makes no sense. And then you find out later on, oh, gotcha. This was supposed to come out after fucking Black Widow. This
Right.
makes a lot of sense. We're missing a lot of context.
Right.
And in this movie, it's equally
No
or less amount of
Yeah,
context.
it's the same. It's literally the same. The same.
Yeah. Like, I thought when people said that she popped up in Black Widow, that it was going to be a lot more prevalent of a role, and we were going to get more backstory so that when it pops up with Falcon Winter Soldier, everybody goes, oh, no
That's the thing,
wonder we're missing a lot of information here.
But we-
Still
we
felt like I
already
was
got-
missing a lot of information.
We already got the Nick Fury thing where he pops up and he's like, I'm building a team,
Yeah.
you know? So, like, that's
Yeah.
what it is. We don't need any more. Like, I
Sure,
don't think
totally.
it was, I didn't think it was too jarring when it happened for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it makes sense for this too. I liked it. I'm all in. I want to lane in.
I thought it was
MCU.
really jarring in Falcon and Winter Soldier until we got the reasoning, and then you go, oh, that makes sense. But it was just funny comparing and contrasting the two different things where when it happens here, you go, oh shit, never mind. I thought this was gonna have way more context.
You thought she was going to be like, at least have like a 10-minute scene where they tell you who she is and
Yeah.
what she's doing. But in this, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. Did Greg fall asleep?
No, I'm here, man. Friday at 5:30, I can go for a goddamn beer instead of arguing about fucking vests and Julia Louis-Dreyfus or whatever.
Greg, you're on the wrong side of vest history. You're on the
Yeah,
wrong
it's
side
really
of it.
sad. It's,
Oh
it was
no!
a fun, it was
the
a fun-
comments will prove Tim and I right. Don't worry about
the
that.
comics have never
Oh.
proved anything right. You know?
The worst part is I started this podcast saying I like it in the MCU and it works.
I just don't understand why you're saying the other one's better, though.
Did Greg just hit a gong? What the fuck was that?
My
Did you
keyboard
step on a
scratching
duck
is-
over there? Oh, okay. Let's move on from the vest. It doesn't matter. Where are we at, right?
We're done. The movie's done. We did it. The movie's recapped.
Yeah.
Recap. Whatever it's called. Do we get any abs in this one? No
You're not
abs?
hosting the show.
Haiku.
You're
We'll
not
do
hosting the
haiku
show.
first.
Wait, are we doing
Haiku.
Whatever you have available.
7 syllables in the middle? You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
This episode has so many amazing moments, but I think one of my favorites was Andy doing the song, and because of Discord, timing's off. But Greg, with his hair how it is, with his glasses on, just hella offbeat. Definitely deserves an award.
Greg's up against a wall right now. Let's just give him some space to
You
chill.
can go
4:30 in the morning.
to
Why were you up so
patreon.com/slash
early?
kind of funny
We don't need to know.
Airport.
to write in your reviews in haiku form, just like Samuel Griffin did. Black Widow has no superpowers, but she can really take a punch. You know what? I'm not trying to talk shit about haiku reviews, but like this
Sounds like
was
you're
not
about
this sounds some bullshit. This is some bullshit. You're playing with the format a little too much there.
It doesn't
Andrew
have to rhyme.
Feister, dear Madame Hydra, leave my boy Hawkeye alone. Sincerely, screw you.
Mhm.
Chance Carter says her sister she mocks, a gross shiver as she walks. Yelena's vibe rocks.
Mhm.
I agree. I do like her vibe.
Loved her.
Brandon Monforte says, my favorite part, your ledgers are gushing red. I'm so proud of you. It was a good part.
This is one of those moments, Tim, where I'm like, I didn't understand, because since I didn't watch Hereditary. No, wait, is that the movie with Florence Pugh?
Midsummer.
Midsummer. Since I
yeah.
didn't watch Midsummer, I didn't understand why everybody's all goo goo gaga over Florence Pugh. Now I get it. She's amazing.
Great.
I have the
Yeah,
biggest
she's
crush on her. I want her to have every role in fucking history. She's awesome. She's
It's
great.
not just that, man. Dude, look her up. She's in every movie I've ever seen her in. She's fantastic.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
check it out.
I don't want to
4:30.
Yeah, Andy doesn't watch it.
Don't
Zayd
watch
Wilson
Midsummer, Andy.
for Haiku and Review literally just writes, it was fine.
Okay.
And Miscellaneous, of course, writes in with the plot in Haiku. They escape by plane, and though young Nat's eyes show pain, she resists in vain. Shout out to using all 7 syllables for one syllable words there. I don't think that's ever been done in the history of this show.
Wow.
Plan changed in a flash. Secret weapon, kicking ass. Master of its task.
Oh, shit.
Bit of sibling strife. Then they're running for their life. With foes, streets are rife. Yelena strikes pose. Nat just broke her own damn nose. He did it again. So 1 syllable words the entire way through. Holy shit. With foes, streets. Nope. Hold on. Let me read that one again. Yelena strikes pose. Nat just broke her own damn nose. Oh shit. The widows. King has been uncrowned. Bring the red room to the ground. We're both upside down. This might be the best miscellaneous one yet. Holy shit.
Great.
That was fantastic. And that's all we got. Rag and Bagu time.
Ragu. Bagu.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a podcast
no.
within a podcast we call
no.
Ragu Magu. Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys, where we rank all of the villains in the MCU universe. And just for shits and giggles, we also include a whole bunch of people from X-Men and the Vision from Solo. So currently, the list looks like this. There have been 38 villains who have graced our stage.
Yes.
We will start with the worst. Jessica Chastain is at 38, alongside the Zelda mummies. 37 is Dr. Reyes in the New Mutants. Number 36 is These Fucks in Thor 2. Number 35 is These Ducks from Wolverine. Number 34 is Abomination. Number 33 is Apocalypse, duh. Number 32 is Doesn't Matter, Deadpool 2. 31 is Ronin's Guardians. 30 is Cross from Ant-Man. Number 29 is That Lady from Ghost. Number 28 is Magneto / Phoenix in X3. Number 27 is Flash Smashers / John Walker from Cap WS. Number 26 is Loki from Thor. Number 25 is Obadiah. Number 24 is Mandarin / Aldrich. Number 23 is the Vision from Solo. Number 22 is Mass / Dormammu. Number 21 is Magneto - Brotherhood. Number 20 is the Dank - Sentinels. Number 19 is Rockwell / Mickey. Number 18 is Red Skull. Number 17 is Francis Angel Deadpool. Number 16 is Kree Jude Ladd. Number 15 is Ultron. Number 14 is Hydra, Captain Wee. Number 13 is Stryker. Number 12 is Pierce Logan, X-24. Number 11 is Baconator, First Class. Number 10 is Mysterious from Far From Home. Number 9 is Ego, Guardians 2. Number 8 is Hell / Grandmass, Thor Rag. Number 7 is Loki in Avengers. Number 6 is Wanda Agatha Hawk Key. Number 5 is Thanos Endgame. Number 4 is Bacon Guy Civil War. Number 3 is MBJ Black Panther. Number Number 2 is the Vulture, and number 1 is Thanos. AIW. Where does our cast, our motley crew, want to rank Draco Malfoy and Taskmaster?
I want to say number 24.
One.
I want to say it was, which is right above Obadiah Stane.
No, number 24 would put them now above Mandrick / Aldrich. Obadiah is one below that. At 25, you'd be above
23.
Obadiah in between below Mandrick / Aldrich.
Above them, so 23.
Yeah, but does it help? Can I make a case for Obadiah going slightly higher only because he goes story?
You could,
Yeah.
honestly, because I think that this movie does a very good job of delivering a plot for the bad guys that works all the way through. It's just not interesting.
Yep.
And they
Yeah, I
have
think
such a compelling villain with Taskmaster, and then it just falls flat and don't really use it at all. So
See, I
with
think-
that, I'll put it around that area.
See, I think that's a great area to start. I think Obadiah is slightly more compelling only because he turns heel halfway through. I think the issue with Obadiah as a bad guy wasn't that he was necessarily a bad guy. It was just the movie was missing a third act, and he didn't really get his chance to like do more bad guy stuff. But I mean, come on,
I
you
like
can't
Obadiah more than these
I
guys.
do too. I think he's a lot more memorable.
But then now we're saying is
I
he
put him
more
somewhere close to
memorable than
Cross.
Loki and Thor?
No,
Now again, Loki makes many appearances here, so we don't have to get crazy.
Yeah, Loki
Or
and
one.
Thor is not that interesting.
glorious purpose, Tim.
Because the thing
That's
is, I really love the performance from Draco Malfoy. I think he's an
Yeah,
amazing
performance is
actor.
great.
I think
Strong.
Taskmaster was such a force and
Cool.
was scary, and you sort of feared for whatever they were taking on. But not super compelling. I needed some really sort of clever bullshit. And the clever bullshit that we got was the pheromones thing, and it was just kind of lame.
You know what, Tim? You drive a good point. Loki and Thor are not that compelling. I put him above that.
You put him above that. So you want Obadiah, Taskmaster, Draco Malfoy, Loki, Thor.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Everybody fine with that?
Cool.
That means
I'm cool, Daddy.
that Draco Malfoy and
Tim just shook his
Taskmaster
head.
are going in at 26, number 26.
Cool.
Sorry, where's Loki and Thor?
Loki and Thor are below at 27. 25 is Obadiah's thing.
Cool. The above, below got a little confusing.
Remember,
Yeah,
everybody,
that adds
if
up.
you are new to the show, whatever my phone auto corrects to, that's just what it is. So Draco Malfoy one is as Franco Mallory. So I will need people to remind me of that in about 3 years. All right, why the fuck I'm calling somebody Franco Mallory / Taskmaster?
We're doing that
Fix
next
it.
week. Just heads up, or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Yep,
just
so
think
you're
about
back,
that.
Greg.
You say just fix it, Nick. Then
And
do I
then
go and
another
fix
one in,
everybody
like,
on this
November.
list? Do I go
No,
fix everybody on this list?
No, because the other ones are funny
we
and
should
this one's funny too.
jokes aside, we should prune this list. Like we
At
have
that,
a
at
lot
that point
more
too,
of these.
that lady from Ghost. Who the fuck is that? I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's the
Demi
ghost
Moore from
lady
Ghost.
from
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why? It doesn't matter. This is a
Do you
conversation
see
for
what I
another day.
mean?
Let's
Like,
rank
just
some
prune
movies.
it.
Let's rank some shit. Let's rank some shit.
Currently, number
That's
one,
absurd.
we do have Endgame. Number 2, Infinity War. Number 3, Homecoming. Number 4, Civil War. Number 5, Ragnarok. Number 6, Winter Soldier. Number 7, Guardians 2. Number 8, WandaVision. Number 9, Avengers. Number 10, Guardians 1. Number 11, Iron Man. Number 12, Far From Home. Number 13, Black Panther. Number 14, Doctor Strange. Number 15, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Number 16, Captain Marvel. Number 17, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 18, Ant-Man. Number 19, Iron Man 2. Number 20, Age of Ultron. Number 21, First Avenger. Number 22, Iron Man 3. Number 23, Hulk. Number 24, Thor. Number 25, Dark World. Kevin Coelho, you have your hand raised. Would you like to start the placement?
I would, Timothy. I enjoyed this movie. I think it's good. However, the MCU is full of some of the best movies ever made. And I think that this doesn't quite hit that. I would think that 15 is a good spot for this movie. 15.
I like your methodology, but I would go a little bit lower because I'm looking at this
Well,
as
you're
what
stupid.
do I think of this movie quality wise in terms of tiers? And I don't think it falls into the bottom tier of the movies that to me kind of stop at Hulk. And I do think that it's a little bit above that next tier up that it's like, okay, it's pretty good. So I would put it at number 19, in between Ant-Man 1 and Iron Man 2, because I think the Ant-Man movies have a lot more to offer in terms of style, uniqueness, what they're building. They're not perfect movies by any means, but I definitely don't think this is either. But I do think that it edges out Iron Man 2. And I think that the family dynamic, having Elena be a character that I'm rooting for, I'm really excited about seeing more of her. I think at the end of the day, it's interesting ranking these movies and TV shows together, especially coming off of 2.5 TV shows now, this being our first movie back. In a lot of ways, production-wise, it felt like a movie. This felt big. I really appreciated seeing the movie aspects, and it reminded me what an MCU movie can look like. But I think the story it told was a TV show story. And I think that Black Widow might have been better served as a Disney Plus show, building up Elena's character and kind of just having Black Widow be this like, okay, it's this moment in time from the timeline that we haven't seen much of, but like didn't necessarily deserve movie treatment. And I think at the end of this movie, I totally stand by that. So for me, it is number 19.
I am right with you, Tim.
I'm right with Tim as well.
That is exactly where I was going to go. I almost thought to put it underneath Iron Man 2, only because, I love myself some Mickey Rourke. I want my Burt. I want my Burt. And of course, Sam Rockwell, fantastic in Iron Man 2. Who could forget Justin Hammer? But I think the humor and the characters really did it for me in this movie and kind of kept me going along. The action was some hit, some miss, but mostly pretty, above average, I would say. It's just, again, with I think, Tim, you nailed it. This is like a TV show story that just didn't do a whole lot for me, unfortunately.
Greg Miller.
I mean,
I'm with it's the usual thing where you have to play the list as it lies, right? Looking back at this, you forget where we rank things. We show back up, and I'm like, oh man, like I like Falcon. For me, I guess like I'm right around Kevin. Where I would think honestly, I think I'd put this ahead of Doctor Strange, and so I would vote for it at 14. And then, but I don't know. I think I like Falcon and Bucky more than I like Doctor Strange too. So I think that's interesting because then we get into this like Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Wasp, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2 movies I enjoyed, but I don't think, oh man, I gotta go rewatch those things. Not that I think I need to go rewatch Black Widow, but in terms of the ones I just listed, if you're like, let's rewatch one, I'd be stoked to watch Black Widow probably the most. Maybe Iron Man 2 again because I do like Iron Man, but I've seen it so many times. I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna put out. I will vote 14 on this.
So, Nick, locking it in then, do you agree that it is number 19 in between Ant-Man and Iron Man 2?
Yeah, I agree. For all the points you made, I think those are more memorable movies. I think the first 2/3 of this movie rank it way higher, but I think when we get to the action at the end, it kind of drags it down a little bit, unfortunately. And so I would put it at number 19 with a bullet.
There you go. The bullet sticks. Number 19 is now.
No, this is an unprecedented event. We have the first ever tie. Because remember, of course, like I said at the top of the show, I get 2 votes for all my Marvel's Avengers playtime, and the fact that I've been playing the Red Room Takeover.
It's the glasses that really make this like something special. You know what I mean?
It really, really, really does.
We all knew it was coming, but here it is. He's just knocked it out of the water. Good job, Greg. Tie.
Knocked out of the water.
Knocked out of the water, everybody. And for that, we take away a vote from Kevin. So
damn
the
it,
vote
Kevin.
lies. Number 19 is Black Widow. You'll love to see it, everybody. We're going to return.
List is rigged.
Next week with Loki. We'll see where that lies. I'm hoping high because so far it's real good. In the finale, so far with these Disney Plus shows, it's to lose. So we'll see how that goes. Until next time, Andy.
Well, I mean, the episode can't end now, Kevin. I don't know if you're going to end it already, but Greg and I have to start our own podcast. I don't know why he just walked off, but because he and I we're fixing the list. If y'all don't remember,
cut the feed, please.
We're fixing